evening, everyone. I'm MC Toon, and it is Thursday, not Tuesday. What's up with that? Oh, wrong glasses. Hold on. Um. Anyway, I had, if you know me, I've been busy this spring and on Thursdays, and today I don't have anything, where I normally would on a Thursday of this week, but I don't. Anyway, so I'm like, hey, let's do something. So I will be going over to the newest instantiation of the asylum, not Discord server, not Mallory's asylum. That one, that's still around. It is the asylum, the one that I've been on many times. I don't know if this is number 6, number 7, number 10, number 666. Not sure, but it's the asylum nonetheless. The link to the asylum is in the video description. I'll drop it into the chat here if anybody is interested in popping in, and we're gonna go over there and we're gonna see what's going on. I see one person named Not Harp, which might just be Harp. Anyway, the reason why the server is new, I think, is because some people had been reporting the old one. So they got rid of the old one so that any of the reports wouldn't affect people. So that, I think, is what happened. So here we go. I popped in, but I did not check to see if the audio for that was working. So we'll see if it does. All right.
Hey, what's going on, Mick?
Hey, looks like it's working. How you doing?
Good. Just hanging out.
Just hanging out. All right.
Yeah, yeah, just hanging out. Good to have you. Welcome to the new asylum.
I was guessing this might be 666th asylum.
Oh man,
is that right?
Evil number, man.
I don't know. Just a guess.
It is though the 6th one. Interestingly enough.
All right.
But yeah, so this is the new asylum. I like I told you, in private DMs, some people reported it, so just to save everybody, so that way people don't get flagged or struck, with some strikes or whatnot. Just decided to delete it, start over. I mean, you got to build it up again. It's all right.
Yep. Well, hopefully a few people will pop in today. The link is already in the live chat of my live stream. So.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we'll see.
Now I see cool. Somebody named Not Harp 2.0. Might that actually be Harp?
No, who is that Harp? Not Harp. Who is that?
Well, if anybody's wondering, Harp.
Oh, it's Bread Rising. It's Bread. Bread's cool.
Bread Rising.
Right. It's Bread.
Okay, I don't know this person, but when it comes to proof, Bread is one of the things that you can prove.
Well, outside of I guess we're going to go into the ball. Is that where you're going? Is that where you're taking?
Well, no, it's that to be formal, science does not prove things. Because there's always more to learn. And there's always a possibility that it's wrong. Of course.
Absolutely.
But there's a few other things where proof does exist, like in alcoholic beverages.
Yes, very true.
In bread, of course, and logic and math, formal proofs exist.
Right. Math ain't science, right?
No, not science. Math, yes.
Yeah.
So, all right. Any chance that did you talk to anybody or anything set up specifically, or?
No, not anything specifically. I know D-Mock, he might jump in.
Yeah,
D-Mock loves to talk to you.
Yeah, the problem is that he doesn't let me talk.
I mean, I know.
It's funny.
I'm
funny
gonna stick around the whole time.
Yeah, it's funny for a few minutes, and then I'm like, all right, D-Mock, you wouldn't let me answer the question you asked 10 minutes ago, and then you asked another 10 minutes of questions, and that's only fun for 5 minutes. So.
Yeah, no, I'm here. I'll if you guys aren't able to have a normal conversation, then I could just do a little mute, mute. Just get your stuff in.
Seriously, has DMOC ever had a normal conversation?
He has actually.
Seriously?
Yeah, he actually has. You just
Oh,
got to get him on a good day.
I don't
Got to
believe it.
catch him on a good day.
I don't believe
He's
it. All
like
right.
a unicorn.
It didn't help you. It didn't help you at all. All right. Well, I see the hammer and hammer sock.
Right.
Oh, there's Harp. Harp showed up with a post. You see that?
Oh yeah, he did. He did show up.
He
In the
did.
You're right.
I didn't
Text.
I didn't know he was Catholic. Okay.
He text Pope.
Yeah.
He's been.
Is that the Pope?
Yeah, that's the
I have no
Pope.
idea what the Pope looks like.
Yeah, that's the Pope. Well, I mean, I know that's a huge debate and a huge. That's a whole nother world to go down.
Whether or not that is the Pope is a debate.
Yeah, there's a while ago there was this one guy, I think his name was Catholic Traditionalist. And I remember him coming into the asylum, and he used to get into some huge debates, and he used to tell us about how, he would argue, who Gregory is? He would argue with Gregory, and they would debate, and he would say, well, after a certain year, after a certain pope, that the church, the Catholic Church, the original Catholic Church, and he was going back far, like a far time ago, that then there was now the fake popes or something like that. There was it was no longer the Catholic Church as it once was. Now it's like the fallen Catholic Church, if you will. So then there was this whole debate. I never even heard that before. And he was talking about it, like how every pope after that last pope, whoever that was, whatever year that was, but that was the last pope per se, like in the God sense, I guess. Like,
Right.
whatever. It was really,
Whatever.
really interesting though.
Just some other guy. That's all he is. So all right.
Yeah.
Does I mean Harp? I can't talk to Harp. He wouldn't apologize. So I talked to him. I talked to you. I talked to Sin Cleanser about last time. You and me and myself and Sin Cleanser, we're all good. But Harp, man, he wouldn't sack up and apologize for saying what he said. So
yeah, it's all right.
Anyway, any of these other people in here want to step up? Just for reference, the name of the video on YouTube is hold on, I want to say it right. I think it's Flerfs just want to be wrong. Yeah, Flerfs want to be wrong.
You want to be wrong.
So I mean, this is your opportunity to prove me wrong, right? By having a Flerf be right.
Well, okay. Well, first of all,
give me a second. My audio cut out, but go ahead, Optical. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just want to make sure somebody was stepping up there.
All right.
All right. Yeah, no worries. I just wanted to make sure that before I jump into it, anybody else want to go on before, talk to them, have at it. I'm going to be here to mod for the most part, and then I'll jump in with some questions later if it goes, dead or whatnot. But Hammer, you want to go at it?
I gotta restart my computer though, so it's gonna be a minute. I apologize.
All right, cool. Well, before we get to that,
hold on, Hammer. What you do, Hammer? You hold it upside down and shake it, and then it reboots.
I tried that, and I even actually hit it with my head because it's like a hammer. But that trick didn't work. It's
not this time. All right.
It does this thing. The freaking stupid voice mod just disconnects the audio sometimes completely. It's ridiculous.
Now,
here. Go ahead.
2 nights ago, Mallory was talking about she had to reboot her Leapfrog. So.
Oh wow. Wow. That's cold. That's
appreciate
it. She said it. It was her that said it.
You're always so kind, buddy.
Dude, it was her. It was her. You got to go listen to her. She was pretty funny. Do you know Mallory?
I've seen her.
She's got her own Discord server called Mallory's Asylum. She was on Tuesday night late.
So. Right. Nice. Yeah, check it out.
She said
I've
sometimes people find her server expecting to find this asylum, um, and they're all confused because her asylum is very different from this one.
Really?
Oh yeah, very much.
What's her
This is the
asylum
one.
like?
Well, people get assignments. Some people are put into straitjackets or padded rooms, and they have to like do tasks to get out, like sing or dance, or I don't know. They
Wow.
have to make like videos as assigned, um, and they do.
You're saying there's real staff there is essentially what you're saying.
Well,
Wow.
I don't know if it's real staff.
Right. Well, here's the thing though. See, the asylum here is actually like the word has that double meaning. You have the crazy part, right? The asylum,
Oh
but
yeah, we
also
know
this
that.
is where but also this is where we could come and we actually could find peace here, which is asylum, right? You could
Oh, I
so
see, like the political asylum sense. I see. All right.
yeah. So no, but I was gonna say this while he gets his stuff, together.
All right.
So yesterday, my seventh grader son, I'm talking to him, and he's just showing me his report card. He got like 3 A+s and 2 A's and a B, and but in science he got an A+. So I was happy for him. But one thing that he was talking about, he said he was talking about the sun, and then he started talking about the flames of the sun, right? So obviously, like seventh grade, they haven't taught him all the ins and outs and the intricacies of what the sun's actually made up of. But I did ask him, well, what are you learning? He's like, well, he's like, right now we're learning the average size of a bird's beak. I'm like, that's really what they're teaching you in school right now? He's like, yeah. I was like, wow. Our system is just failing the kids, man. Meanwhile, in
Why?
China,
Wait, why is teaching a kid the size of a bird's beak a problem?
not that it's a problem, I think it's a little behind of where people should be by the time they're in seventh grade.
Yeah, now,
Uh,
but to be fair, do the staff at the school know that your son's father is a flat earther? I mean,
well,
maybe he's in the remedial class because of
well,
that.
well,
Or do
well,
you keep
well,
it a
well, hold
secret?
on. Well, hold on. See, the funny thing is, because I know you're cracking jokes, but here's the funny thing: is it's interesting that we all went through that indoctrination. We all went through the world of the brainwashing, if you will. That this is a ball, it's spinning. Oh yeah, of course, we just know that, right? Everyone knows that. And we all the scientists, well, they all know it, so we all know it's a ball. But somehow they trick people to believe that water could stick to a spinning ball and go through this,
Yeah,
infinite vacuum.
there's no problem
It's
with that though.
really, I know. See, that's the thing. Hold on, McTune. That's the thing. You say that as if 1+1 is 2, and it's just so simple, and it's just
Yeah,
like,
it
and
is.
if you don't believe that water can stick to a ball and be upside down in all directions, and gravity's gonna
But
hold
it's
all this.
not upside down.
Well,
Come
here
on.
we go. Yeah,
Come
here we go.
on.
It's
At least
not
if
upside
you're
down.
gonna talk about it, at least you
Okay,
know enough.
okay.
Get it right.
Okay. So it's on one side of the ball, and the other. There's got to be an upside down somewhere, right? Because
No. Upside down
there's no.
is
Everyone's
opposite of the
upright.
way of down.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did they say it then? From like foot to foot, right? What's that word? I forgot
I
the
mean,
word.
if you stand on your head, then you're upside down.
Right.
But you're
But
still
when
pulled
someone
towards
is
the center.
so So when someone's feet is to you, they are opposite of you. So water can stand opposite of each other and be pulled in. Here's what's funny. That brainwashing has been so effective. It has grown men like you and your followers truly believing it. And that's amazing to
It's
me. Like, wow,
it's
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 crazy.
it's not a belief though.
No, but it absolutely is.
It's
And
based on empirical evidence.
well, I mean, water curving. Yeah, not empirical evidence. Here's what it is. Because the reason why, when you measure water over, and they go, oh, yeah, there's all the refraction and all this other cool stuff that light does. And we have experiments failed and things that also worked. But you have to admit, McToon, every time they take those calculations, they're going to I mean, in your world, they're going to a horizon that isn't even there. That's a false line, is it not? Because on some days,
There's obviously something there that's obstructing.
on some no well, that doesn't make sense in this
to you, but it makes
no
sense to
no
other people.
no
I mean,
no 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 no.
I mean, it
Let me
might make
finish.
more sense to your kid.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Okay.
It doesn't make sense in the sense that some days that horizon is shorter. So if you were to take a measurement on one day, it will make the circumference of the world maybe be like only 15,000 miles of a circumference, because that's how short something's going to disappear over your ball Earth. And then in other days, that boat's going to be way further away that you can still see it. And now it's going behind the horizon that you want to artificially create with, for your calculations. Then that makes the ball like 50,000 miles in circumference.
Let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
If right now you were to jump on a scale that was accurate to 1/100th of a pound,
right?
Okay, and then tomorrow at the same time you jumped on a scale and the same scale, would it give you the same number? Accurate to one 1/100th of a pound? Do you think it would every single day?
No.
Okay.
I drink way too much in one night for it to be the same.
Well, but it's the same time of day, every day.
Right?
Would it always be the same? Would it always be the same? No. Okay. So conditions change, and they can affect things.
Right. Well.
Right.
Well. Here's the point, though, McTown. And to answer your question, the conditions do change, which is why we see some things shorter and some things farther. But that doesn't mean it's a ball. Like, this is what you and your fellow this is what I used to believe, that it was a ball. So I used to be there with you. But see, for some reason,
dude,
I don't know why.
Every week for 4 years, I've heard the same come to Jesus story. I used to believe, and you don't need to tell me. You don't need to tell my audience. You don't need to tell your audience. We've all heard it every week.
Right. So the ball belief and the things that come with it are clearly a brainwashing. Because if you believe,
but we literally have photos from space, and the only thing people have is CGI. I made a list of tests that anyone can do. Not that hard.
I don't know who that is. I don't even. I didn't see who that.
Bitsy. That's new.
Yeah, I guess Bitsy is an AI. Hello. Great.
Whoever's on the other side of it has to type a whole bunch of stuff, I suppose, and then it's going to be a little
hit play, I guess.
Yeah, it's going to be a little slow. That's not a very effective.
Well, welcome then. You picked a pretty interesting.
Oh my gosh.
It's all right. Hold on, Bitsy.
I apologize. It was very ill set up. I'm doing it for another stream later, and I saw you were live, and it failed completely. I apologize.
Okay, I know. I
was using Whisper, and it just could not pick it up, and so I had to kill it. I'm so sorry. It would have been lovely. And also, it wasn't supposed to talk yet. It was supposed to wait until you guys were done. Sorry for the interruption. Goodbye.
All right.
It's all right. It's all right.
Fix that up there.
Yeah, get it right. All right, get it right. Get it tight. No, but here's the thing, though, McTown. So, because we have been told that the ship going over the horizon is because it's a ball. Well, when it doesn't do that at the distance that we believed it to be a ball, geometric horizon, right, an actual calculated. All right, we're gonna roll with your math, right?
It always matches the calculations. That's the thing. Always does. There's no exceptions.
That's not true.
The problem is that flat earthers never do the math right. So I would be happy to take any example that you want. I will apply the math for the globe, and I'll tell you the prediction for the globe, and we'll see if it's correct. And then, of course, you would turnabout is fair play, right? You would show me the prediction for flat Earth, and then we'll see which one is closer to observation.
Well, here's what's interesting, McToon. See, I don't think we need to go there, to be honest, but maybe for your world and your side, you do. Because, for instance, the boat that disappears way too early, only because the conditions, for whatever reason. It's just the conditions of the sky, and there's an optical illusion happening to where it looks like it's behind the water.
It's
instead
not
of
an actual. It's not an optical illusion.
Well,
Not,
I mean,
an illusion. So an illusion
I
is
mean,
your eyes seeing something wrong. So if you've seen that picture, that's like one. If you look at it, it's either a duck or a rabbit. That's an optical illusion.
okay. So for instance, it's a trickery, if you will, because it's making it seem like it's going behind something, but it's not technically behind anything. It's just that the water in front of it, to our eyes, to our, the way we see it, the water is actually just being like raised, and it's disappearing behind that. So it's
what's the
tricking you.
mechanism for that for flat Earth? I've never heard an actual,
We
evidence-based
all know that to be refraction.
explanation for that. That's testable. That we can actually just take
No,
the
well,
hypothesis
they have a name for it.
and apply it and test it and see if
They
it
have
actually works.
no. Here's the problem, McToon. We do have a real science about it. The problem is,
You'll be the
is
first
that-
to share it with me in 4 years.
well, no. Hold
Or
on.
you're
The
not gonna
problem
share it.
is, no. I'm going to share with it, but hold on.
Okay.
I'm going to share with you. The problem is that real science has been hijacked by the ball Earth, and then they just totally took a crap on it and ruined it. Because now they're mixing their pseudoscience ball spinny Earth.
You don't even know
a vacuum.
You don't even know what pseudoscience is.
Yes, I do know
No,
what
you
pseudoscience
don't.
is.
What's the primary
Pseudoscience
demarcation?
is what you believe
No.
in.
What's
That's
the
what
primary
pseudoscience is.
demarcation between science and pseudoscience? What is it?
One is the false, and then one is the real. I
No,
mean, for
no.
lack of better words.
No, that is
Yeah.
that is not the primary demarcation
The-
between
the
science
primary-
and pseudoscience.
You're okay.
Or
the
more
pseudoscience-
appropriately between
Okay,
science
more appropriately-
and not
okay.
science, as
so
it's
so
termed.
what would separate that is, for instance, real science. You can actually use the scientific method. Pseudoscience, where you can't. For instance, it would be pseudoscience to say that star is 1.3 trillion miles away from me right now where I stand. Really? Why? How? How is it pseudoscience?
There's an
It's
entire
because
process
you
of science. There's a
Oh,
whole process of empirical science that people went through to get to that.
No, McToon. No, there's a whole backing of more pseudoscience that makes that possible.
No, it's all
Yes.
empirically verified science, and you just hand wave reject it. But you can't actually delineate what was the demarcation between science and not science. You don't actually know that.
No. Well,
Right? You didn't get it right.
that's
I
the
asked
belief.
you a very specific question, and you haven't gotten it right yet. So I'll ask
I
it again.
literally told you. I literally told you.
What is the
difference
difference between the demarcation between science and not science? There is a one-word answer to that.
I don't know what word you're looking for, but I just know for a fact.
I'll tell you the word.
Pseudoscience.
I'll tell you the word.
That it's false. It's false.
Oh,
it's not.
You're
false
close.
science.
You're close.
Oh,
You're
okay.
close.
I don't know what
the
answer
word
you're looking for, but go ahead.
The word is falsifiability. Real
Right,
science is falsifiable. You can test it and falsify it, or not. Right, and if you test it
using the method.
And there's now the what you call the scientific method, and Oakley fans, isn't actually a rigid dogma that you must follow. The only thing that really is the demarcation is whether or not it can be falsified. Once
Right.
you do that, right? So that list of things that Oakley likes to go through, that's the middle school, you've never done science before. Here's what you do so that you can complete your science fair project. That's what that list is. But but when peer reviewers or other scientists go and read somebody else's publication, they don't pull out that list and go down the list and say, oh, you didn't follow this one, and then you didn't follow this one. Oh, you did follow this. That's not what they do. They just check to see if it's falsifiable, and then they apply logic and reasoning.
This is a good point you're making, by the way, and I'll say this: you're absolutely right, especially nowadays. they don't follow the scientific method anymore nowadays. Now,
like I
they're
said, you totally missed it. This is not middle school.
just
Real scientists don't actually go, "Oh, you didn't follow the scientific method." That's middle school. This is not middle school.
Right.
Real
right.
science.
Real science
is
an
about
older education.
Falsifiability.
It takes an older education. Now, for some reason, the adults, not the middle schoolers, the adults, they are the smart ones that can. They don't have to truly measure a distance, but they could just say what a distance is.
They absolutely measure a distance, certainly. But
they do not measure 1.3 trillion miles away.
They certainly
just say it.
They didn't just say it. They actually measured it. And
there's
if
a belief.
You wanted,
there's a belief.
And here's the deal. If you wanted to actually falsify it, it is available to be falsified. There's a huge number of different publications that you could go look at for free. You could go look at them. Then you could go through and you could identify the logical errors or the measurement errors or the mathematical errors in it, and then falsify it. The door is open. The invitation is there for you to do it, but you haven't. All you've done is say, "I don't think it," and I think that somebody else did something like this, but they didn't actually do that. You don't know.
But Big Tune, we all know, and I'm sure you do too. 100 years from now, that sun's not going to be 93 million miles away from us. But even though
of course it is. 100% is. Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Science improves. Science improves with time.
Okay, so you're saying
we get more precise. We get more precise with time. So the distance between the Earth and the Sun, 100 years ago, was known to a certain number of digits of precision. Over time, the digits of precision have improved, and we've done other things like identify the extremes of our orbit around the Sun. And we've done other things like say, well, in this year, we measured that we were this far away, and in this year we measured that we were slightly different far away at perihelion, for example. None of that is pseudoscience. It's all falsified. It's all published for you, and the invitation is there for you to go and falsify it. If it's wrong, then go falsify it.
All you have is calculations, not measurements.
Of course, it's based on measurements.
No. You don't have one measurement.
No. Isn't actually a refutation. You'd need to go actually get the publication, find the publication that has these, according to you, non-measurements in it, and then point out where the non-measurements are not measurements. You haven't done that. All you've done is deny things. That doesn't actually refute anything.
Tune, are you done? See, here's the thing about falsifying. You've already calculated that math. You can't falsify it, dude. Don't you understand that?
You absolutely can falsify it, but you didn't identify anything that was any errors in it. So go find a publication, go find a measurement that you think isn't an actual measurement. Go find it. Go falsify it. The invitation is there, but you haven't even looked. You haven't even read them.
Blah blah blah. Tune, listen. Do you not hear what I said? I agree with you. You cannot falsify it.
You disagree with me. You can falsify it. The invitation is there. Go try.
No,
you're not.
I don't think he gets it, Steve. I know we get it, but he doesn't get it. So let me try to help Steve. Let me say what he's saying. Maybe if someone else says it, maybe he'll understand. McToon, here's what Steve's saying. This world that's been calculated and constructed, you can't falsify those calculations because those calculations are, solid as for now until someone makes a better instrument, quote unquote. But those calculations,
you're conflating calculations with instruments.
No.
Instruments measure things.
Wait, hold on. The calculations of everything that they put to construct this model, construct the everything within it, how far this is and how far that is, all those calculations, Steve is saying you can't falsify that because that was the creation
No,
of this
it
model.
wasn't. There's actually empirical
now-
measurements behind all of them.
No. There's no. There's not one. No one has measured anything physically to any one of those things in the sky.
That would be wrong.
Physically,
That would be completely
that's not wrong. No. They've calculated. Steve is very right here.
No,
he's spot on with you right now. No, he's spot on.
He's totally wrong.
No, he's spot on. He's telling you the truth. He's actually
he's not. He doesn't have a clue.
We actually agree with you on this, by the way.
No, you don't.
You're right.
You completely
we can't
disagree.
deny that.
All right, so I just posted a publication that is it's called Radar Echoes from the Sun. That's where they bounced radar off the sun. In that particular that particular study, they did about 1,000 daily radar experiments. This was in El Campo, Texas, in around 1961. Right. And it took about 16 minutes for the signal to come back. So just under 16 minutes. So now that gives us then the round trip distance or time to the sun. And since we know,
believe this, right?
Since we know, well, this is a measurement. Since we know the speed of light, we know how far the sun is away. That is an empirical measurement.
Falsehood. No. See,
where was the error in that? Point out the error.
There's falsehoods upon falsehoods that are just compiling, and this falsehood.
List them instead of making claims that there's falsehood. Give the actual falsehood that is there.
Here's the falsehood. So here's the falsehoods. First of all, one falsehood: we know the speed of light. Falsehood. That's not even. That's all. Actually, I'm just gonna say
we absolutely know the speed of light. The distance of the meter is defined based on the speed of light. The existence of the length of the meter could not exist without knowing the speed of light.
And that's the world we live in.
It is absolutely the world I live in. Are you saying the speed of light
doesn't attenuate?
The speed doesn't. No, it doesn't. Oh my gosh.
It doesn't attenuate.
Oh my gosh. You don't even know what attenuate means.
Wow. Okay.
Oh my gosh. What the hell are you talking about?
Go ahead, Riggs. Maybe further explain.
I'm just asking, does the speed of light not attenuate? Would it not?
No. That's
and
ridiculous. Holy crap. I'm just gonna laugh at you. That's ridiculous. That is just so ridiculous. You are, when you go to Valley Fair. I live in Minneapolis. Valley Fair is the local amusement park.
Gay club,
whatever amusement park is near you, and when the kids are a certain height, there's a little line. They're like, oh, you can't ride the roller coaster unless you're at least this tall. You must be at least this tall to ride. Riggs,
well, hold on.
You are not tall enough to ride the I understand the speed of light ride.
Well,
I asked a question.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Riggs.
So are you not qualified to answer?
I am perfectly qualified to answer, and I will just laugh at you for not understanding enough of it. Because if I explain it to you, you still won't have enough of an understanding of the topic.
Are you laughing
because
it off?
You're not able to answer?
Is that why? I'm laughing at you because it's such a ridiculous question. Speed.
Then you should easily answer it, right?
Does not attenuate. There's the answer. Speed does not attenuate. It is something that does not apply to speed.
I think maybe you misunderstood how he meant that then.
I think he doesn't understand the topic well enough to ask the question.
Well,
no, I think it's not very appropriate to say that light has a very specific speed.
I think that would be completely wrong.
Well, agree to disagree.
Yes, definitely agree to disagree. And for that, I will just chuckle in your general direction.
I get what he's saying, though.
I don't care.
I don't know why you don't understand what he's saying, though.
So
what are you saying? The conductor doesn't matter? Is that what you're saying? Tune?
The conductor?
Well, what are you talking about? You're talking about the speed of light, aren't you?
Yeah. What conductor for speed of light? What are you talking about for conductor?
Oh, so you don't know your own science.
Oh my gosh. Are you talking about electricity? Because electricity has conductors. Light does not have a conductor. Holy cow.
Oh, it doesn't?
No.
Or it flies through the air. It just like, oh, it goes through the air. The air is
Yes.
not a
Yeah.
conductor.
No, it is not. Oh my gosh.
Oh, it doesn't have electric charge.
It-
What happens?
oh my gosh.
Well, you can laugh all you want. I mean, you guys are pretty funny when you come out here.
Photons are the messenger
You know
particle
the-
for the electromagnetic force.
Dude,
Yes,
you know the difference between calculation
but there's
and a
no
measurement, son.
conductor. That there's no conductor.
Listen, you have to know the difference between a measurement and a calculation. First thing,
I don't think
Yeah.
you know the difference.
you have R, you don't have no R. You got a Verizon.
I don't
Oh,
think
the
you know the
speed of-
difference. How do you calculate the square footage of the room you're in? Or sorry, how do you measure the square footage of the room you're in?
Where's R at?
I'm sorry. I'll go over that in a second, but I want to expose that you don't know what the difference between a measurement and calculation. So
Yeah, what is it?
how did you measure the square footage? How would you measure the square footage of the room you're in?
You didn't ask me. I know the difference. You don't.
Uh-huh.
What difference? Please tell the class.
What's the difference? What?
Please. No, it's your job.
What's the difference of
You're the
what?
teacher. Calculation and measurement.
Yeah. With very few exceptions, all measurements include calculations. Very, very
No.
few exceptions.
No, all measurements are measured. No fucking calculation.
Oh,
dude.
well, how did you measure the density of an object? How do you do that?
Oh, now we're switching.
How do you
Oh, so now you're-
measure the
measure-
density? Tell me.
How do you measure
How do you
density?
measure the density? You don't know? You don't know how to measure
you're
the
gonna-
density of something?
Go ahead. Teach us.
Te-
Right now.
Yeah, so you
Give
you
it-
you, you
two
take
seconds.
you measure its mass, then you measure its volume, and then you divide them. So you can't actually measure, you get this? You can't actually measure density. Neither can you directly measure area or volume. You can't.
Calculation.
Yeah. All things except for very, very few exceptions are calculations. In fact, you can't even use a tape measure without having an implied calculation in there. Because when that tape measure was manufactured, they put a mark at 1 meter and then they did some calculations to put the other marks
No.
on it.
So that's a measurement.
No, those are calculations. How do you know where to put the 1/2 meter mark on a tape measure?
When you build a house, you calculate. Is that what you do?
You absolutely
Not a
have to calculate.
calculation.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's not a calculation because they have the set mark already.
But how did they put the mark on there?
They measured it.
How did they no well
They
how
made
do,
the scale.
do they have
Scale.
do they have
The
a
measurement is
they have
scale.
a scale at the factory
They
that is a
created a
1/2
scale.
meter scale, and they have a
They
different
created-
scale that is a 1/4 meter scale and a 10 centimeter scale, and then wait, hold on, how did they get the second meter mark on there without
They
a calculation?
created
They
They
created
made
it.
the scale,
How?
and
How?
they duplicated it.
Oh,
and
they
repeated it
How did they
It's not-
how did they know
it's-
where to put the second meter mark?
because they already made the first one.
So they
So
added
you-
another meter mark on it. So they calculated where the second one goes.
Hey, son, you know what calibration is?
Yeah, son. So
Well, you know-
you're changing topics because I've destroyed your ability to actually respond on this one. Let's make it clear. You have never done a measurement that did not have an implicit calculation in it. Never once.
That is a lie.
You've never done it. You've never used a tape measure that didn't have an implicit calculation in order to build the tape measure.
So are you using the fact that we have tools that measure things here on Earth and we can measure it?
The problem is that
Are you conflating, like, now all of a sudden, because we can measure things in let's say, like, if you're building a house, all of a sudden you're going to apply that to, because we can do that, this is how we could measure 1.3 trillion miles away?
What
Is that
I'm
what you're
saying,
doing,
hold on.
Tim?
What I'm saying is that all measurements include a calculation. So for you or anybody else to say, "Oh, that's a calculation," sorry, every measurement you've ever done includes a calculation. So you can't just hand wave dismiss measurements that have calculations in them because you've never actually done a measurement without a calculation.
Okay, so I think you this is kind of like a way for you to get away from the fact that you're not truly measuring something physically. You're just calculating that this is how far it is. Now you're trying to say that because you can make these calculations in the stars, now you're saying like, well, that's because we make calculations here when you're measuring 2 feet.
Yeah.
No,
What I'm
there's a
saying is
there's a
what
huge
I'll
difference.
make
There's
it
a
really
huge difference.
clear. I'll make it really clear.
Maybe for your audience,
Every
because they're
single
not
my
smart,
audience
they're not
understands this
getting it.
and they're laughing away.
No,
They're laughing
no,
at
they're
this.
not. Oh, they're laughing because
They
the
are.
indoctrination and the brainwashing has them believing the lies. So
No,
they're over here like,
let me
why can't
once
these
again
guys get it?
I'll make it clear. If anybody says that's a calculation, not a measurement, then I will say you have never actually done, by that standard, you've never actually done a measurement. You've only ever calculated things.
Right. Oh, okay. Okay.
All right,
That's
J808. Oh, he's out of here. He was feedback. So
okay.
So like I said, no tape measure has ever been manufactured that didn't have a calculation as part of the manufacturing process. So if you're going to say, oh, you can't use the speed of light in a vacuum, or you can't use the amount of time that it took for light to go to the sun and back because that's a calculation, then you have just eliminated every single thing you've ever done that you might consider a calculation or a measurement because it's a calculation.
So you're saying that using a measuring tape is a calculation, not a measurement. Is that what you're trying to say?
There are calculations involved in that measurement. I am saying that all measurements involve calculations. Every single measurement, with very few exceptions, have measurements or calculations as part of it.
So that's what you want to stick like that's what you're going to stick with?
That's his story.
That's your story. That's your belief.
Name one measurement that doesn't include a calculation.
Well,
Go
let's
ahead.
start here.
No. You can't. Don't go away from this. I want to hear Hammer give one example of a measurement that did not include a calculation somewhere. Just one.
So just to clarify, just to like steel man your argument here for a second, basically what you're saying is that like because multiple inches or multiple feet are included like in a measurement, right? Like if you were to take a tape measure and lay it down, you're saying every time you take a tape measure and lay it down, because there's multiple units involved or multiples of the same unit involved, that means that it's a calculation. That's what you're saying.
Did you hear the word multiple that you said? Multiple is a calculation.
So that's
you
how
multiplied.
I'm just making sure we're not misunderstanding what you're saying.
If you
read is that properly steel manning what you're saying? That's the question.
Yeah. If you read the 27-inch mark on a tape measure, it has been multiplied by 27. There's a calculation involved.
I get what you're saying now. You're saying if you measure 5 inches, that's technically by definition a mathematical determination of the size.
There was
technically
because it's like 1 inch plus another inch plus another inch plus another inch.
So then somehow though, with that being established, okay, now I get what you're saying, but somehow now you can measure 1.3 trillion miles away, even though you can never get there. But you're saying you can calculate it. That's not a measurement, but you can calculate it.
No, you can measure it. You can measure it because all measurements include calculations.
Okay.
With very few exceptions.
Now I get your brain right now. Now I understand why you believe the dumb shit you do.
All right. So now I was explaining something and got interrupted about how we measured the distance to the sun. And of course, in this measurement, as in all measurements that we do every day, there are calculations.
Right.
For example, if you get in a car and you drive and you say, well, I want to drive this particular speed, and your speedometer says you're going 60. How did that happen? How did that speed get displayed to you? Somewhere there was a measurement along with the calculation.
You made it up.
No, I didn't make up the speed that you went. It gives you an accurate speed.
What's 93 million miles look like left to right?
Oh my gosh.
Give us the legend for that.
Boy, that was
for your calculated.
That was quick.
You see what you've done, McToon?
That was a
you
quick
woke
T-Mark.
you woke up the bear.
All right. So when you're driving down the road, 60 miles an hour is the speed you're going, right? The car next to you, they go 60. Their speedometer says 60 as well. Now, within a certain range of precision, all the cars are going to say 60 when they're going 60. Yet somehow,
Hold on, D-Mock.
you can't directly. Ah, yeah, he's muted on my side. He
Yeah,
got-
D-Mock, he has you muted. So yeah, so hold on, D-Mock.
Yeah, I will talk to him only if he gets 1 minute to talk, and then I get a minute to talk. Otherwise, it's
Right. Yeah,
pointless.
yeah.
So, anyway, so you can't go
We'll do that
60 miles an
later, a
hour
little bit.
without a calculation being involved. So if you're saying that's wrong, then you have a severe problem with everything,
No,
and it's not even worth talking to you.
No. What's being said here that's wrong is that it's a model. It's not necessarily even a reality, because it's just what they say is, and you just believe it to be.
No,
and that's
if
the
you
world we
think
live
it's
in.
wrong, if you
That's
think
the
it's
world we-
wrong, it's incumbent on you to point out the specific errors. Not
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
to
called a false
not-
equivalence
not
or a
to-
false
Right.
dilemma.
Yeah.
You're equating something that is not equatable, right?
So-
And
so you
whereas,
say-
like when he's talking about measuring, when you're talking about, measuring trillions of light years and all that stuff, you can't actually go verify that. Whereas I can get in a vehicle and verify 60 miles an hour, right?
Yeah.
It's not. I can go verify 5 inches on a tape.
Yeah,
measure.
so
You can
you're
verify
using
it too.
real.
Is absolutely ridiculous. and
But
that's
Hammer,
basically
you can
it.
verify the distance to the sun as well. And there are ways other than
How do
just
you do that? Why
there
don't
are-
you explain
No,
that?
yeah,
How do you do that?
hold on, let me
No,
explain.
that's total nonsense.
I'll be glad to explain it if you don't interrupt me. This is not kindergarten. Going there is not the only way to do things, right? Kindergarten, yeah, I understand kindergartners wouldn't understand how to get a distance to something without going there. But since we're past that,
Okay, so
we can do
that's,
it other ways.
Called an ad hom, right? That's
Yeah,
called
well,
a,
I was
you know,
about to explain it to you.
critique. You're
Yeah, I'm explaining it to you.
It's unnecessary. Well, why don't you get to the explaining and less of the ad homs and
All right,
showmanship
so
there. Go
so
ahead.
here is in the chat there. I've pasted a picture of the radar array that they used in 1961 to send radar signals to the sun. It took just under 16 minutes for the signal to come back. So you divide that in half, that's 8 minutes. Now we know the speed of light. The speed of light is currently defined by the meter, or the length of the meter is currently defined by the speed of light. So we know the distance.
How many watts was that machine?
How many watts? That machine was.
Calculate that watts. How many watts is that to go 93 million miles?
All right, I'll paste the link to the actual paper in there. So there you go. You can look it up in there. I don't know offhand. Don't know if I summarized it in this one here. There it is. The average transmitted power was 500 kilowatts. The antenna gain is 33 to 36 dB relative to isotropic. There you go. There's your answer, asked and answered. You're welcome. So just under 8 minutes. That wasn't the only time that they did it. There's another group of people that did it a different time. I'll get that one.
This is all part of the model. Everything they tell you.
This is a measurement. This is a
Yeah,
measurement.
it's what they've told you that they measured. You weren't there, I wasn't there, but somehow people made. Here's the thing, Mixon. We live in a world where there's papers and articles and all these stories and videos and pictures and all this stuff, and they say this is what you live in, right? And then they want you to believe that somehow all this water is sticking to a ball as it's spinning, and you just have to trust them. That they tell you it's called gravity and it's holding it down, and the gravity will hold trillions of pounds of weight to the center of a ball.
All right, so
or
so
to
far,
a ball.
So what you've done there is an appeal from incredulity, just because
Right,
you don't understand it, you don't like it, whatever. It doesn't matter if you think it's wrong. If you think it's wrong, then show where it's wrong.
Because
if you think that they're lying about having done that, then definitely show how they lied about doing that. But there's an actual real picture taken from an
Right.
airplane
Yeah.
that I posted right there. So there is certainly something in existence that they did.
There's
And
no-
other people,
you know
this
what?
is the
Go ahead,
great thing
go ahead.
about science. Other people
Yeah.
years later did another experiment at a different location, got the
Right.
similar results, confirming the first result. So now
Right.
now you're asserting that both the first people that did it lied about it, and then the second people that did it lied about it, even though in science, if somebody could show that somebody lied about something, that's huge. And the person that identifies the lie, well, they get a whole lot of street cred for that.
Yeah. Or
So-
or they get disappeared, but whatever.
No. So there you go. So incredulity does not actually make something go away.
Well, unfortunately, if you truly want to believe that you're living on a spinning ball, round curved spheroid, then that's
Right,
fine. There's no destroying that. You're never going to get through you.
If I may,
just
Parkfron, real quick, didn't
incredulity.
you start this off? Didn't you provide this as something that anybody can do to verify the distance to the sun? Is that correct?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
No, that wasn't what you said.
No, that wasn't what I said. I said this was
Oh,
something
okay.
that people did.
This was just a measurement that was done.
Yeah, it was a
You have
measurement.
to pay for this. You have to pay for access to this.
Oh, I can give you the links, the direct links. Hold on. I have yeah, and on my website I have links to them, so you'll see that it's served off of my website. So both
Yeah,
of them.
you have a real good collection of a lot of falsehoods. I just
There
want
you
to give you kudos for that.
Well, if it's false, go right ahead and show where it's false. Just saying that it's false
We live
is
in a false world, bro.
is an appeal from incredulity. Again,
It's you can call it whatever you want. See, look at you guys even made words. There's even words, I mean, to explain when someone doesn't get the falsehoods and they're not following along, and so because somehow they
well, I
have
mean, I
logic
just
that-
copied that from Witsit.
It's so funny.
Do you know? I just copied that from Witsit, right?
Right. Well, that's the thing, though. These they're just words, McToon. They're just words.
What are just words? The actual measurements that people actually did and then actually posted and published for other people to actually read and then actually go verify themselves later in a different study? No, that's not just words. That's what people actually physically did, and they're showing you the actual results of their experiment. It's a critical part. It's a critical part of the scientific method is communicating your results.
Everything that has to do with the ball spinning Earth is false, regardless. I don't care what you bring into this topic or argument or debate.
That has a different name. That's affirming the consequent. You have pre-selected your conclusion,
right?
And anything that doesn't match your pre-selected conclusion, you automatically reject.
Because if you have half a brain, you'll know that water doesn't stick to a ball while it's spinning,
but
and
it
gravity
does.
pulling on everything.
But it does. It's empirically measured. All you have is I don't believe it, therefore it's not true.
Water's
That's all you
not
have.
sticking to a ball.
But it does. It's been empirically confirmed to do that. You just saying nuh-uh doesn't make it. Just saying nuh-uh doesn't make it go away. It actually happens. People have actually confirmed it. You just say nuh-uh because you don't like it.
No. I say because logically things aren't making sense. For instance, let's go back to that.
It's illogic. You don't believe it. You don't like it. Don't care.
So let's go back to that
presented
boat.
Nothing.
So let's go back to that boat going over that far distant horizon, right? So now on another day, you see a boat that's not behind the horizon yet. You can see it at 9 miles away. It's not behind the horizon yet, but we were able to see it now way further than this so-called 3.76 horizon that we should be seeing.
No, not should. The problem is, like I said before, you always do the math wrong. If you want to see what it should do, I will be happy to present the should for the globe. And like I said, turnabout is fair play. You show what it should for flat Earth. How was the prediction for flat Earth done, right? Because you want to do science. Well, the science says that you need to go test something empirically. So what's your hypothesis that we can go test that causes things to be obstructed bottom up with increasing distance?
Well, we have a very, very well understanding of how and why optically things do that. A very clear understanding.
No, you
It's
don't.
very
You
simple.
have a
No, we
vague,
do.
a vague
No, we do,
collection
though.
of
No,
buzzwords is what you have.
No, McToon, we do. We actually do. We totally understand
No, you don't.
how something vanishes in the distance.
You can't give me the empirically confirmed physics backing it, though.
No. But we completely understand why things disappear
No, you don't.
in the distance.
You just have vague collections of words.
On some days when it's really, really hot, a car will disappear in front of you.
Why? Where's the empirically confirmed evidence for that?
Hold on. Let me finish real quick. When it's maybe only 300 yards away from you, if you lay on the ground and you see that car, okay, and it'll disappear 300 yards from you because the heat makes this weird, cool optical, I'm not going to say illusion, but this real crazy weird thing happens where the car disappears and it's only 300 yards away from you. But it's because it's
when
real
are
hot.
you going to give me
I'm so close.
the physics explanation? To make sure you get that in there. Go ahead.
I'm so close. See, here's the problem. That if you can't, I'm trying to tell you something logically, like, because it seems like you can't grasp what I'm saying, because you need, like, what's the physical blah. No, just stay with me on this one lane real quick. Okay, we'll get to that point. Okay. So if that thing's disappearing at 300 yards away from you, and then all you do is just stand up, and then all of a sudden you see the car again. It doesn't mean that it was on a ball curving down and went behind the road. It's just, it meant that there was something optically going on to where the conditions of the air were causing this interference, an obstacle between you now.
I'm waiting for you to actually give an explanation for it that you said you really well understood.
Well, we understand that there's something called refraction. Very clearly we do.
Sure. And how does refraction play in this?
Well, because the I guess I want to say what we've observed is that the heat, or even sometimes cold, it depends, but the temperature change in the air is actually making the light go in a way to where it will actually make a car disappear, because it's going to raise the ground higher. The same thing in the ocean, it raises the wave, the water higher. Doesn't mean that it's going behind a ball.
But why? What's causing that to happen?
Because it's an optical illusion.
But no, it's just vague.
Oh,
so far,
you don't like illusion.
The only thing you've given me so far is vague collections of words. You didn't actually provide the empirical, scientific evidence supporting this. Where are the measurements that you require? I mean, certainly Steve is going to be quite upset that you didn't cite any measurements that included zero calculations.
Well,
where are they?
What do you need a measure of my explanation of telling you that things disappear in a distance? What needs to be measured at that point?
Yeah, you need some
for you to get it.
Empirical evidence. You need to show where it was
the empirical.
What was the hypothesis?
Okay.
Where how did you test your hypothesis to confirming? Testing against observations.
Right. The empirical evidence in this case, McToon, is the fact that the car disappeared 300 yards away from you. That's the empirical evidence. That with your own eyes you saw it. That is your eyes.
But that doesn't explain why.
No, it does though.
No, it doesn't. All you've identified is that it disappears. You didn't identify why.
No,
what was the cause?
I told you. Refraction. I told you. We know already scientifically. Here, let me break it down for you. Here, let me grab the physics behind refraction for you.
Oh my gosh. Make sure there's no calculations or Steve will be so pissed.
While you're grabbing that too, McToon, why don't you explain those two things that you posted for us here? What were they supposed to do again?
Well, I mean I was doing that and then I got pulled off track.
Sorry, go ahead.
No.
Do you want to return to the topic from before, or do you want to continue with this topic, Apocryphon?
Well, he's grabbing something real quick, I think.
Right. Yeah.
I
Go ahead.
I
You
didn't
could
wanna...
deal with him for a while, and I'll pull this up, and then let me
excuse me.
provide some evidence. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I don't want
Do
to
you care if I
sidetrack you, bro.
I have to jump out, but I just wanted to say, like the fact that you guys have access to these people, like Tune is a pretty smart guy, and I would pay to talk to PhD Tony. They're legitimately very smart people, and you just sit there and you fucking bitch and cry about, oh, I can't see. Like, it's pathetic. It is genuinely pathetic. As somebody who's released 2 research papers and is working on a 3rd,
Oh,
it's
man.
pathetic.
Yeah.
No, it is. I have to go, but
All
I'll
right.
talk to you
Have a
guys
good
later.
one. All right.
I mean, I don't
bye.
have to go, but
Well, you probably should. Have a good one.
I mean, I can. Do you want to go over it? We can go over whatever you want to do. I mean,
You could do
I'm up for it.
Hey, you could do whatever you want, bro.
I
No
just
one's
don't want
holding
to
you.
cut off Tune.
Yeah. I mean, you're not doing any.
I mean, while you're in the lull, do you want to talk real quick? If it's okay with Tune.
It's up to
well,
Tune.
Well, no, here.
I just wanted to say I have to go anyway.
Oh, yeah,
but
you
it's
gotta-
you should. It's a misappropriation of resources. It really is. You should take advantage of the amazing learning opportunity you have. All right, I gotta go. Goodbye.
Oh, Dale, you're too kind, Dale. All right, let me.
Go ahead.
I'll review this. All right, so I posted the 2 papers. The first paper, the first publication says the radar bounce took about 1,000 seconds, and the second approximately 16 minutes or 960 seconds.
Wait. Slow down. You said from the first paper what?
The first paper, the radar bounce took approximately 1,000 seconds.
Where are you reading that from?
I'm summarizing it. It was in the paper. I wrote down my thoughts on my webpage, mctune.net/sun. I'm just reading from there. So if you want to follow along.
So here's from the conclusion directly from the paper. The scientific information about the sun gained from the first radar experiments described above is very limited. However, it is now possible to plan with confidence the systems and test procedures needed for more meaningful radar studies of our dynamic sun.
Yep. So what I'm taking from it is not that part of it. What I was just taking from it is the amount of time it took for the signal to bounce. This is specifically about the distance.
So don't bother to look at what the actual scientist who wrote the paper that said that their conclusion is that they didn't learn very much from it at all.
They actually learned. They learned a lot of
technology that they're using.
Yeah, they learned plenty.
They cite that they.
I'm sorry, you don't want me to talk.
There is a growing interest in the potentialities of probing the
talk.
solar system with man-made radio waves. An obvious name for this field of investigation is radar astronomy, quote unquote.
Yeah.
With the added versatility inherent in the control of the transmitted waves, it is expected that much will be learned, which will complement and extend knowledge gained from passive visual and radio astronomy and from rocket probe measurements. As they're appealing to the future there. And what's funny is in your next paper they do the exact same thing.
Yeah, papers typically do that.
They're just looking for.
Have you not read many papers? They often,
in
the conclusion, talk about the possibilities of future research. That's super common in papers.
So where's the actual measurement of the sun again? So none of these actually measured the sun. So where's the actual measurement of the sun?
I was in the middle of my explanation when you literally took it off track.
We'll get back to that. We'll get back to that.
All right, Apocfon's back. Great.
All right,
we'll get back to that.
Get back. What? You don't want to talk about this one anymore? I didn't even get a sentence in and got it.
No, I was done. No, we're done. Apocfon's back. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I was just saying because he wanted to come back to whatever he was coming back. I'm saying, McToon, you could go back to that.
He definitely did not want to go back. But I will do it. All right. Don't interrupt me unless you're scared of the results. Then interrupt me for sure if you're scared of the results. All right. The first publication says the radar bounce took about 1,000 seconds. The second, about 960 seconds. Taking the mean, we get 980 seconds plus or minus 20 seconds. You divide that in half, you get 490 plus or minus 10 seconds for the one-way trip. The speed of light is just under 300,000 kilometers per second. So distance is velocity times time. So you simply multiply that out. You get 146.9 thousand kilometers to the sun, and then plus or minus the margin of error there. So it gives you a range of 144 million to 150 million kilometers to the sun based on those papers there, which is between 89 million and 93 million miles. There you go.
Yeah, that's the model. That's the model in a nutshell.
So These are
Well,
measurements.
hold on,
These are
Apocalypse. Can
actual
you just show us where they
measurements.
actually? No, can you show us where they actually cite what you just said in the paper that you provided, or is that just you just took their measurements and then you just did calculate? You extrapolated on their
Yes, I used the amount of time that
calculations?
they said it took.
Oh, okay.
So I'll
So
quote.
nowhere in that
So
paper.
quote. I'll just quote.
Uh-huh.
Ready? Quote. About 1,000 daily radar measurements or experiments have been made at the Sun El Campo, Texas since April 1961. This paper presents some of the results. Briefly, one radar experiment is performed by transmitting a coded signal toward the sun for 16 minutes, the round trip time, and then receive the echo the following 16 minutes. Unquote. So there they go. That was the actual quote where they talked about how long it took. Got it? So you wondered, how did they measure the distance
You're making
to the
me
sun?
pull it back up.
This was one of the ways that you can measure the distance to the sun. I choose this because it's much simpler math than some of the other options.
Breathing into their mic, bro. Pat Man.
I don't know. Somebody's
trying to get in, Pat Man?
Oh, I'm here. I'm listening.
Sorry, bro. Maybe it's just
You're
me.
good.
I'll turn you down a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
All right.
Hey, so based upon your math and these guys' math as well, how far away were they from when they first shot their signal on their spinning Earth ball? How far did they travel before it got back to them?
How far did they travel laterally?
Yeah. Because like in your world, in your model, it spins, right? So like, how far did the Earth travel when it bounced back to them?
You mean in the orbit, the Earth orbit around the sun?
Yeah.
So
how far did it orbit?
I didn't do that particular math, but it's not that complicated. Anybody, I think, probably that completed high school could do it. So
that is really easy math to do. Yeah.
Yeah, but just 60 minutes later, right?
It gave us, so it gives us the radius of the circle of orbit, 93 million miles. And so we know how long it takes, about a year, little different, little more than that, but to go around the sun. So you could take a year if you don't mind that slight bit of approximation, and calculate how far the Earth moved in 16 minutes around its orbit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So let me ask you something though.
Yeah.
When you let's say okay, I'm trying to visualize this with me, if you will, McToon. We have the sun in the middle of a basketball court, okay? And the Earth is to its left, right? So
what?
So I'm trying to put it like, imagine the sun and the Earth in a basketball court, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And just walk down with me visually, okay? Now here's the Earth to the right of it. Okay, we'll say it's on the right of it, and the sun's in the middle of the basketball court. Now, technically, the sun is hurling through space, right? Like it's going at a pretty fast speed, and the Earth, they say that it's dragging a little behind it.
No.
But it's still going.
They say it's dragging a little behind it. I'm going to need a citation of they saying that.
All the planets. Wait, hold on. Wait. You're saying that that's not the narrative? That's not the story?
Yeah, I'm just going to need your citation on that.
Okay, here, let me show you what I mean by that. Just give me a second. I'll pull it up for you.
That is
so
dragging.
Earth actually travels around the sun at 18.5 miles a second, which comes to 67,000 miles per hour, roughly, or 666 or whatever you want to call it.
Right. So
I didn't do the math, so I can neither confirm nor deny any math that you've done.
Okay.
Fair enough.
So all right, here it is right here. I think this is it. Okay. So here's like a little CGI graphic. Like NASA loves these things, right? So here's a little CGI graphic. Let me share it.
This is testing the lagging behind claim that you said there. Okay, I'm looking for where they said that the Earth lags behind. That was your
right. Well,
that was your claim that they
all the planets.
They said.
You're saying are you saying that all the planets are perfectly flat across as they go around it as it shoots?
Look, Apocryphon, I'm just looking for your citation where,
right,
quote, they say the Earth lags. That one right there. So just where was that from?
Okay. Here, let me share this with you. And what I mean by lag, I mean that it's a little. It's not just dead center of this. It wouldn't be dead center of the sun. Here, let me. I'll post it right now on the Discord for you. You'll see what I mean. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you won't.
No. What you're not going to do is you're not going to support your claim that they say it drags. Yeah, that's not them saying that it drags.
Okay.
So I'm waiting for you to show where they said that it drags.
McToon. For argument purposes, you're right. They don't say it drags. Great. Now, coming back to the model though of what they show, based upon what they believe is going on, when the sun is hurling through space and the planets are orbiting around them in the way they do.
Yeah, let's get some terminology cleared up so that you're not just parroting dearth here, right?
Okay.
The entire solar system, the entirety of the solar system is in orbit around the galaxy. Right? So this hurling through space crap is just dearth saying things that are incredulous. Okay.
So you're saying that it's not hurling through space.
When we're within the reference frame of the solar system, then we don't need to worry about the hurling through space portion of it.
Why are you so afraid of that word hurl?
Because it's a misnomer, because it's intentionally misleading people. That's why dearth chooses it. And that's why you parrot it.
Whoa. Hold on. You're saying something is going fast through, a medium, or in your world, there's no medium there. But you're saying something going fast is dangerous, but saying balls are spinning around other balls is not dangerous?
What it is, it is yet another
very ironic,
appeal from incredulity. That's what it is.
Okay. So
it's really fast, therefore it's hard to believe. I don't care.
Could I ask one question about the model here?
Mm-hmm.
Has this been peer reviewed? Has this been accepted as how exactly we fly through space here? This video in the chat.
I don't know.
That's the newest.
That's not from whoever they are.
I don't know who it's from.
But I'm happy to provide measurements of the velocity of our solar system through around the galaxy.
So let me get back to what I was trying to say. Okay. Well, I won't use I won't use the hurling through space for you.
Just for reference, I'll send a measurement of the sun's velocity around the galaxy.
Imagine Earth shoots a light at the sun. Okay. Now
it shoots a light at the sun.
Right, a radar shoots a radar at the sun, right?
Okay.
Somebody on Earth shoots a radar.
Shoots a radar at the sun. Okay.
But shoots radar. See how you are?
Yes.
See how you are?
Yes, I do see how I are.
Right. Yeah. See, this is the when the arrogant part of McToon comes out, because he's so smart and we're so stupid that he has to be like.
I cannot disagree with you.
Okay, right. See, there you go. Look, you know how much.
Hey, when you're right, I'm going to give you credit.
You sound like such a pompous. Okay, so it's okay though. It's all right. Don't worry about it. So look at. So when you have somebody on Earth going to shoot the signal using radar, shoot the signal out, and then it as it travels to the sun.
Yeah.
Now technically, it's already way far off from that original position within 2 seconds, because how far is somebody?
You mean the Earth is moved?
No. I'm not talking about the lateral of the Earth. I'm talking about the direction that the sun is moving in that direction, right? So I guess that would be the vertical of this whole dynamic system that you got going on, spinning and twirling. So I think it was Pat. You did the numbers. how fast how many miles per second does this travel?
Well, wait a minute. You're talking about the radar signal, right?
No. I mean the celestial body, the
Well-
sun. How fast does the sun move per second?
In relation to the Earth's orbit around the sun, it's essentially stationary. In relation.
May I make a comment here?
Go ahead.
Part of the point of relativity is that the speed of light is the same in every frame of reference. So in the frame of reference where the Earth is stationary, the speed of light is the same as the frame of reference in which the sun is whizzing along. So your idea that there's some sort of inertial component that the radar isn't going to be able to compensate for is exactly wrong. That's not how light works. The speed of light is the same in all reference frames.
So you're saying that it never slows down? The speed of light never slows down?
The speed of light is slower in some media, but light does not run out of energy. It doesn't lose. If you throw a ball through air, for instance, air resistance will slow it down. Or if you throw it upwards, it would lose energy. That doesn't happen to light because there are two waves. There's an electrical wave function and a magnetic wave function, and they both excite one another. So these oscillations are self-fueling forever. The only thing that's going to stop that light beam is if it runs into something like a dust particle.
Like a sun? Like so let's say like the sun.
Yeah, they've tested it. It goes forever, dude.
How do you bounce something off of the sun? Because the sun is just hydrogen and helium, right? Like just a nuclear fusion happening.
Yeah.
Like what is it physically? What is the sun physically? I'm sorry, PhD Tony. How do you bounce light off that?
So the sun is constantly bouncing energy backwards and forwards. It actually takes a photon 10,000 years, about 10,000 years on average, to get from the center of the sun to the surface, because it's constantly bouncing around inside. Each time it hits a layer, it's got a chance of being reflected backwards. So not all of the radar signal is going to be.
Yeah, they checked. They verified it.
Now, Tony, let me ask you this. What caveman 10,000 years ago first observed the photon move from the center? Explain to me.
Probably didn't.
More incredulity.
Up until a couple of hundred years.
Yeah, just tell us where you verified it once. How about that?
You wouldn't need to verify something like that.
So you wouldn't seek to claim something like that either if you haven't verified it.
There we go. We don't have to.
I get it. Sorry, PhD.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
So we actually verified this in Earth's atmosphere. The same equations, which are called the Schwarzschild equations, which describe the transport of energy, are applied inside Earth's atmosphere. And we can observe the accuracy of the calculations in Earth's atmosphere. And these are exactly the same equations that we use to describe the flow of energy inside the sun.
Calculations. Okay. All right. So
well, except that we've just except you skipped over the part where we have matched our calculations against what is observably happening. Right. This is the thing. Yes, we calculate. Get over it. That's how science is done.
I love it.
Just believe me. Get over it.
Yeah.
No, it's we calculate things in science.
My story.
Okay,
he literally calculated it, though.
So if you don't like calculations, why are you using a computer?
I mean, yeah.
The man on the internet didn't believe my story. I'm gonna get mad now.
Or you can't use this computer that you're using without calculations, so you better get off of
the
it.
The computer works is because of calculations.
Okay, so
So you're happy to accept the calculations when they work for you.
No.
You just
It's not my story. It's not my story. It's your story.
The thing is like
I don't have
1
to
plus
believe your story.
But Riggs,
1 plus
Riggs,
1 is
your
2.
voice. Hold on, Riggs, your voice is being
I'm
transmitted
trying to sound like
us.
you as much as I can.
Your voice is being transmitted to us by the power of calculations. Without a discrete cosine transform,
But
the audio that you are speaking could not be sent across the wire.
But McTunes, do you see where? But McTunes, but do you see
It's
where
another
you
straw
take?
man.
That's not a straw man. That is how you are actually able to talk to us right now. Is through
It is a
calculations.
straw man. Nobody said because your calculations of what you're doing, right? That doesn't mean all calculations are false. Right? Again, it's a matter. It's a false dilemma in that.
Yeah, you're
again,
trying to
it's a
hand-wave
false dilemma.
calculations that you
Again,
don't
it's a
like.
Hi, McToon. I'm sorry. Did the middle of my sentence interrupt the beginning of yours? Thank you. So, it's a false dilemma. It's a false dilemma, like you were doing earlier in that you were saying you were comparing the measurements of hi PhD Tony, hi Tony, hi Tony.
All right, Apocryphon, time for you to moderate.
Tony.
Unfalsifiable ones? Is
Hi,
that what
Mr.
we're rejecting?
PhD Tony.
Apocryphon.
Hi, Mr. PhD
Yeah,
Tony.
very specifically unfalsifiable.
Yeah.
Hey, Apocryphon, can you help me out here?
Yeah.
For just 1 second.
I'm gonna start muting people because you guys are just talking over each other. You guys gotta let's just take turns, guys.
Yeah,
I've been trying to
Tony,
jump
again,
in, but you guys go. Go ahead.
My bad, Apocryphon. I just want to say, because he said, it's a false dilemma. You know what I mean? Again, he's talking about the inches on a tape measure versus going measuring trillions of miles away. You're talking about calculating, again, things that you cannot verify versus calculations for a quote-unquote computer. And again, anyway, that's all I want to say. Go ahead, Apocryphon.
No, I was just to piggyback on that, just real quick. Tony and McToon. Here's the thing. Listen, please, closely. Just because we are talking to you on devices and on instruments that have been created using, yes, there's all these different fields that have made this possible, but those things that we are that's real science, things here on Earth that we can manipulate and build and with our hands and all this other cool stuff. But when you're saying we know that a photon takes 10,000 years to go from the center of the sun to the surface until it finally, that is story time, bro. That is unicorns, la la la.
Yeah, sure. I'll be glad to address this. Okay, doesn't matter how long it takes a photon to get to the surface. What matters is that the sun does bounce radar off of it of certain frequencies, and do you want the actual the actual electromagnetism explanation behind it? That requires an awful lot of, there's a few prerequisites that you're going to need to go through to have a deep understanding of it. But I'm glad to give you here. I'll give you right here. Here's a link. Here's a link right there.
While you do that,
go ahead. I've already done it. There's the link. If you want to see how the actual understanding of it works, I've given you the link there, right? I'll put it. Okay. So that is certainly outside the scope of this conversation, but the people that understand electromagnetism do not have a problem with the sun bouncing radar of certain frequencies off of it.
So are you telling me, McToon, that the sun has electromagnetism but not the Earth?
No,
the sun has electromagnetism.
No, I didn't say that.
And it bounces off of it. Well, you did say that it's the electromagnetism that it bounces off of the sun. I could have swore. Maybe I misheard.
Yes.
Please.
There are explanations and understandings of how electromagnetism works. That there is no problem understanding how frequencies of radar of certain frequencies bounce off of the sun. There's no problems with that. Like I said, it's outside the scope of this conversation.
What is it bouncing off of specifically? What exactly is it ricocheting off of?
Body, the sun, isn't it? The sun.
All right, shush. You asked the question. I'll answer it. Radar scattering by the ion sound turbulence accompanied by type 3 Langmuir turbulence is considered. It is shown that such scattering explains reflections from heights greater than 1.6 R0 observed by James, 1966 and 1970, which is the previous papers that I posted in here. So there you go.
So
go ahead and read
wait.
that. That's outside the
Wait,
scope of
wait.
this conversation.
Wait, McToon, it was a simple question.
Yeah.
What exactly is the radar bouncing off of?
Do you want me to read the quote again? I'll just
No.
here, I'll paste. I'll post it. All right. I won't read it again, but there it is. There it is. That's the answer. It might be a little bit beyond your understanding. It certainly is something that people who don't have an understanding of what type 3 Langmuir turbulence is. Go ahead, Tony.
May I translate? So what this quote is basically saying is that the density of hydrogen and helium atoms becomes dense enough. So basically the sun there is a plasma, so it's a bunch of ionized atoms, hydrogen and helium, and they are dense enough at a particular point away inside the sun that they can reflect electromagnetic radiation. That's what the electromagnetic radiation is bouncing off. So it's exactly the same as radar bouncing off a plane. It's just the density of matter is sufficient for that to occur. So it's exactly the.
Surely you verified that, right? Surely.
We can verify it. Yes.
How deep into the sun does the radar actually travel into before it ricochets back?
I'm not. Well, that depends on how you define the outer surface of the sun. And I'm not prepared to. And I'm not.
Yeah, it's in the quote. It's in the quote that I pasted.
Yeah, that really does. Okay, McToon. Radar scattering by the ion sound turbulence accompanied by type 3 Langmuir turbulence is considered. What? Wow. That's your explanation, McToon? You're going to stand by that and say, yeah, this is why. This is why I'm asking you, McToon.
Go ahead.
How far does the signal travel into the sun?
Feel free to have a look and to at the publication that I sent there and see if their analysis is wrong. Find where it's wrong. Find where it doesn't match.
They admit in there that there's a huge discrepancy, McToon. They admit that there's a huge variation. It's a mean calculation, just like all your guys' stuff, because you get variations in your measurements,
that's what
right?
You do. That's
it's
what you
saying
do.
There's a bunch of variations, and it's trying to explain why the irregularity is responsible for the main solar echo, right? All these weird. Here's where it is possible that the motion is responsible for it. All this stuff is just trying to explain why these irregularities came up, right? So they say themselves they have no idea what the heck's going on. It's just appeal to a future experiment.
I'll send a screenshot
at the end.
All right,
future systems should have more sensitivity and more angular resolution, and they should permit the corona to be studied at several frequencies,
like we already
several
covered
times per day. In the future we're going to be able to do a lot better.
Yeah, all papers tend to talk about.
I know you guys have to drown all this out because I'm actually reading from your paper that you're citing, and you don't want those words to come out of what's in there, right?
I pasted this.
Actually, if you stayed on topic, can I answer? The first thing was the amount of variance between the observations. Okay, in order for your point to hold, those variations would need to be large enough to drown out the signal. Have you demonstrated that those variations are large enough to drown out the
Yes, it says in the paper that there was times that the signal was not received. Yes, it does say right in the paper. And they just theorize why it was not received. Yes, sir. It's right here in the paper.
That's not what I asked for, in fact.
I'm glad
you asked for.
I'm glad you posted this.
No, it isn't. So what I asked for was your demonstration that the distance measurements show sufficient variation that the error margin on the calculated distance is more than 100%.
I mean, they say in some instances there's around 50%, which I think is pretty significant. Wouldn't you say?
What?
Percent what? Almost certainly they don't mean 50% change in the time it takes for the signal to come back, because the experimental setup is based around a 16-minute duration. They don't describe reducing it to 8-minute variations. So what do you mean? Do you mean the power of the returning signal is reduced by 50%? Read that sentence in context, please.
Why? So you guys don't know the paper
You don't want to read.
yourselves?
You don't want
I
to
mean,
read it
it's,
in context.
I can find it, right?
Oh no, you read it in
I'm
context. Go
well.
ahead.
I
Go ahead.
will. Excuse me. One
The
second.
point is
Let me
of my
find it.
referencing this is how long it took for the signal to
A
bounce.
change in
and come
apparent
back.
cross section by 50% per day was not unusual, but it is possible that some of this change was due to changes in the angular distribution, which could not be detected with the 1 degree beam. Thank you.
All right.
That's got nothing to do with the distance calculation, though.
Yeah.
The
So
cross-sectional
thank you
area
for
from which
supporting
the
our point.
reflection comes has absolutely zero impact on the distance calculation. So you're picking words that you don't understand and claiming that they support your argument when they absolutely don't.
My question
That's
to
the
you
first
guys,
law of Flerf.
my question to you guys was, how far does a radar go into the sun before it bounces back? I mean, this is your guys' stuff.
Question.
I don't know the
I've
answer.
answered this question. I don't know the answer.
Okay.
It was in the quote. It was in the quote that I gave you. But you also in that
that wasn't
chart,
the answer though, McToon. Don't stop saying that. That wasn't the answer. That didn't tell me how far it goes into the sun.
All right, I'll read it. Yeah, are you ready? I'll read it. It shows that such scattering explains reflections from heights greater than 1.6R0 observed by James. 1966, 1970, and then right below that, if you look in the chat there, I have a screenshot from the 1966, I think, paper from James.
So
Yep,
here's
the
right from the
1966.
results of that paper. An estimate of the average diameter of the radar sun could be made because the antenna beam width and radar sun diameter were roughly the same. There were indications that the radar diameter changed from time to time, but the average diameter was found to be approximately 1 degree.
We're not talking about the diameter. We're talking about the amount of time it took for the signal to bounce back. Has nothing to do with the
Right.
diameter of the radar signal. Again, first law of Flerf.
So
You
what you guys
contradicted
are
yourself
talking
there. It has
about,
nothing
was
to do
so
with it.
your
my head
papers
for a
have
second.
nothing to do with what you're actually trying to support. Like I was trying to say before, you just took something
totally-
from this paper
you
and
are-
then you made calculations on your
Yes,
own
I totally
to
did.
make
You're-
your own
and
assumptions.
You're completely
You're
missing
not-
the point.
You're not even working within the confines of the paper and what it says, right? Is that what I'm to
exactly? I'm
understand?
using empirical data that this experiment garnered, and using it
Okay.
for a different
But you
measurement.
don't. So you
Yes.
haven't taken these things that you've done and you haven't published them yourself.
I
to,
did.
for
They're
your
on my
own
website,
paper. Is that correct?
mc2.net/sun. I did publish them. I'll give
And
you the
they're
link.
peer
I'll give you the link.
reviewed and they're peer reviewed and published in a scientific journal. Is
No,
that
no,
correct?
but if that is your standard of
no, they're
evidence,
not.
I'll be
Okay,
glad
thank
to present, because flat earthers typically don't like those things, so I don't tend to bring them up. But if you want that, I definitely can, and I will gladly do that right now. Other measurements of the distance to the sun.
I just wanted.
certainly.
I still didn't get my answer though, Tony. I didn't get my answer, Tony.
Yeah, I
I have a
apologize,
quick question
Popcorn.
for
I just had
Hammer.
to settle
We're
that.
kind of a
but,
little lost
you know.
on something like that, though, because if 8 billion people are supposed to do that to verify that, that's a lot of freaking people.
Okay.
And we have to, do our job. We don't have all that time to do that stuff.
Quick question for Hammer. Hammer, you said there was a 1% variance. What difference does that 1% make in the distance that we measure to the sun?
It's a percentage variance in the beam width, not a percentage
Yeah,
variance in
okay,
the
good.
amount of time it took to bounce
Cool.
the radar back. A totally different
Awesome.
thing. Yeah.
Both
All right. so
both
that
of those things wasn't
1%
answering my
mean
question, by the way.
variance, Hammer, which you brought up.
The
What is
point,
difference
the
in
point being
measurement
that
of
this
sun? No,
paper
answer
is
my
citing that
question.
it's getting
Answer my
average
question.
different
What does the
values
variance
and
have
it's
to do with the
calculating
distance
a
measured
bunch
to
of different stuff. And then at the end of this paper, it says
Hammer,
that we should wait
answer
for
the
the
simple
future in
question.
which we're going to
beam
have
variance, beam variance.
future
what
systems
effect-
that should have
Can I finish my sentence,
more
please?
sensitivity and more angular
can I-
resolution, and they
can I
should
please-
permit
Hey,
the corona to
take
be
your face out of
studied
the
at
fucking
several
pillow and shut the fuck
frequencies
up.
and
He's talking.
several
Hammer,
times
be
per day.
quiet. You're not answering the question.
Antennas with beam widths that are small compared with the solar diameter are needed
Awesome.
to reduce the uncertainties in the interpretation of the data and to study active
Awesome.
regions.
And you're still missing the
1%
entire
Oh,
point.
interesting.
The whole point you've missed. The point
Yeah,
is
no,
not.
I've got the point. Is
the
that
point
you're
is
just
how long
interpreting
it took-
data how you want to
is
interpret
how long
I
it
get
took
it.
to bounce the signal. That's the point. which none of
agree.
what you've said has any bearing on.
Which that was the whole
Hammer.
scientific experiment here going on,
Wait a minute.
by the way.
I agree. There's 1% variance in the percentage of the width of the beam. What difference does that make in the measurement of the distance to the sun? Give me that number.
Can't get to it.
Hammer, are you there?
Silence. When you ask a
Exactly.
question that requires actual thinking, that's when you get silence. That's how you shut a Flerf up.
I mean, you guys are talking about two different things. I'm still waiting
No,
for
I'm not.
my question.
I'm
Yes, you
talking about-
are.
No, he's not.
Yes, you
With
are.
that
You're
measurement,
talking about two different
the
things.
width of the beam, the variance in the width of the beam, what difference does that make on the distance measured to the sun? I'm staying directly on topic about the beam width and the distance measurement of the sun to the sun.
I mean, you're talking about that. McToon's talking about the time it took. I'm saying you guys are talking about
That
two
is
different
the-
things.
I mean,
No, we're talking about
measurement-
the same thing, actually.
Yeah, we're talking about the same exact thing because the measurement of the time is also the measurement of the distance.
That's
Okay,
a nice
so-
assumption.
right, yeah. So
It's not an
again-
assumption.
But
Distant-
Oh,
okay,
you
there's a
verified the medium
relationship.
in which you were traveling through?
Yes, it's a vacuum.
Oh, you verified that. Huh?
Yes,
Okay,
it's been
so
verified.
Hammer, answer my question.
So you said that dust can even disrupt. Somebody said that dust can even disrupt the speed of
Why
that.
are you
signal,
why are you
right?
guys trying to deflect from my question? If there was a
Look at
They
how
won't- they won't touch the
butthurt
question.
They are.
They
how
will
they
not
destroyed
touch the
their,
question.
little studies that they have.
What
He's so
difference
stuck
does that
on.
make on the distance measured to the sun?
Okay, so can we go back to like my point, like originally
No.
before you were there?
My answer.
Or do you want?
It's already been answered. It's already been answered.
No, it
Greater
hasn't been
than
answered.
greater
How
than
did you-
1.6
how
R
did you-
0.
No. My answer was way back before. Somebody derailed it like a long time ago.
No,
but I was telling you.
I'm
But I was telling you that.
very
Okay, look,
directly on
I'll tell you what. Now I'm just getting frustrated because I'm still trying to talk, and I've been cool this whole time.
Let's
He's
be
been
honest.
over-talking
Apocryphon,
me.
you're supposed to be the moderator, and you've been the
Right,
main
I know,
debater
you're
here.
right.
So that's a
Right.
problem.
All
That's
right,
all right. Whatever. Don't care.
All right.
I,
Let me
I'd
just.
like to ask
I've
a
been
question
quiet this
after
whole
him.
time.
I have a question for PhD Tony, the globe shell. So, are you familiar with 4D seismic maps, Tony?
How about my question get answered? Say like there's a 10% variance in the
Are you
beam
familiar with those types of maps, Tony? Are you familiar with 4D seismic maps? You're just scared to answer. It's going to destroy your globe, Tony.
Tony's not
You
even
don't know
here.
what you're doing.
Tony's not even here, dummy.
You don't know what you're doing, Tony. I can show you any kind of attenuation of that noise, Tony. I'm going to get you. Don't you worry.
Tony's
I'll
not
get
even
you,
here.
Tony.
All
Oh,
right,
damn it. Did he really
He
leave?
left.
Oh,
He
I
left.
told you I'd be back. I
So
burned my
sorry.
eyelid off a little bit. Or my eyelash. That's why I had to go. I'm sorry.
Answering the question.
You turned your eyelash off?
I
All
burned
right.
it off on accident.
What the hell
All
are
right,
you
so-
talking
They
about?
like the
So,
distance to the
McToon,
sun is
so-
93 million miles exactly. If the beam variance is 10%, what is the difference in the length of that 93 million miles? Will you answer that question, Hammer?
All this paper says is that they estimate how far away the sun is or how big the sun is. Let me verify that.
We're talking about the
and
distance.
again, and we're talking about the distance.
Is it how
not-
big it is or how far away it is?
How far away
I
is
mean,
what
you-
is this?
you guys
I'm
get-
answering the question.
I don't
How
think it
far
does,
away is the
actually.
sun? The question is how far away is the sun, and I provided an answer.
I don't
You
think
didn't-
that. No,
you didn't
did
like it.
not. You did not provide an answer.
I did provide an
You
answer.
have not. You have not provided an answer that
He's
satisfies.
running. He's running.
Yeah.
You
burden
guys,
of
you
proof.
guys ran away from my question
All
a
right.
long time
No,
ago.
no,
Yeah,
I'm
talking
and you
about
guys are
running away.
continuing
paste-
to run away from
I'll
Apocryphon's
paste
question
it
because
all. There
you
you
want
go.
to try and
All right there.
and save face on how I just destroyed your little
There you go.
papers
No,
All right.
you posted.
If,
so.
if the sun is exactly 93 million miles away and there's a variance of 10% in the width of the beam, what is the measurement of the sun
Run away.
How
It says
far
a
away is
change
the
in
sun?
Run away.
apparent cross
Now,
section
we're
by
saying-
50% per day
run
was
away. It
not
doesn't matter.
usual,
50
but it is
say-
possible
say it's-
that that some of this
difference
change
you
was
get.
due to changes in the angular distribution, which could not be
I don't
detected with
care.
the
Great.
1
And
degree
how
beam.
much? How
Right,
much
so
does
they
that
just-
affect?
They're just making you know,
But
guesses.
how
It is
much does that affect the
possible that
time?
some of the. I'm sorry.
What?
Do you guys want an answer, or do you guys want to just
No,
talk?
no.
all
We
over
want
me?
you to answer the specific question
okay.
instead of deflecting to a different
okay.
question. How much does that
asking a
affect the
specific
distance?
question. If the sun is actually exactly 93 million miles away, and there's a
How'd you
variance
verify
in the
that?
beam's width by 150%, what does that change in the number of 93 million miles?
Well, Beba, I think you would know by now that I don't claim the sun being 93 million miles
I didn't
away,
say
so
you did.
you're
Why
the
are you
one
deflecting?
responsible
So
for
when
providing
somebody-
that evidence.
when
so
somebody
we're
is
just
asking
waiting
a
for it.
question-
Like we've been
when
waiting
somebody-
for it like a long time. I know
bet-
somebody
I-
else wants to get involved now
I bet you
because
don't even know what
you guys are
cross-section
unhappy
means.
with my answer, right? You continue to
You
say,
never
No,
answered
man.
"Oh,
that.
Hammer
No,
doesn't
not
want to
at
answer
all.
my."
We
I
can't
don't
hear
claim any 93
answers.
million mile away sun, bro.
I know.
So
I don't
if you
care.
want to claim you know where the sun is, please provide the
yeah, I'm
evidence,
not
and you
Thank
have
you
not
for
provided the evidence.
confirming
All
the
you've done
title.
is show
I never claimed
how
that the
you
title-
cannot even read a study and
Yeah, thank you
understand
for
it. Right?
proving
You
the
just
title of
interpret
this
here,
this.
and
you
we're
just
not
interpret it however
stream.
you want, and you
receiving
can't even allow
answers.
somebody to speak. You try and tell them how they're running away and they can't even
You
answer
are
a question,
running
but
away.
you don't allow
You're-
them to speak. You got 3 people
You
trying to
didn't
speak
give me
over
a
me.
number.
How
You did not
triggered
give me
are
a
you guys? It's
specific
amazing.
God
number.
damn, you got some good
If the
lungs
sun-
there.
no,
You were able to
yeah.
speak for like 20 fucking minutes nonstop.
Oh, please. 25 minutes. I haven't.
All right,
Not
dude.
you. I'm talking
Apocryphon,
about the other
your
dude.
modding abilities
I'm sorry.
is absolute trash. I gotta say.
Okay.
Your
so
conversation
specifically,
abilities are absolute trash.
93
McBooger
million
eater.
miles. If the sun is actually exactly 93 million miles, and the variance of the beam.
All right, Lael, he can't answer. Stop trying to ask it. We know he will run from it again if you ask it again. So I've provided my analysis based on the amount of time that it took, which has no bearing on the beam width or the amount of signal received. It only has a bearing on how long it took. He didn't like it. He the answer because he didn't like
It's not. You and I both know I have no obligation to believe anything that you.
yeah, and
you
and
say,
that's
right?
why
I have no
that's
obligation to
why
believe
the
it,
title
right?
of this
You're
live
the
stream
one
is
claiming all this
Flerfs
stuff as being
want
reality.
to
right?
be wrong. You want to be wrong, and you have succeeded in being wrong.
So,
But I
McToon-
find that funny because we're always right,
All right,
McToon, because
so-
we
so
are in
McToon-
fact always
All
right.
Apocryphon, what do you got?
We have the
So-
absolute
hold on,
right
Hammer.
answer
Hold on, Hammer. So
and the right
earlier-
argument every time. Apocryphon, by the way, I can't mute anybody, just so you know. I just want you to know that.
All right. So
Well, I mean, if you want another moderator in here so Apocryphon can actually talk instead of moderate.
Dude, yeah, he should moderate instead of being the debater.
Okay.
That's fine. I don't. It's
Just-
fun anyway.
I'd be moving people like crazy. Yeah.
just real quick, I earlier I was talking about how shooting, the signal to bounce off the sun and back and forth. I think it's interesting to me that you guys have such large distances and crazy amounts of miles of it, but you really make it so simple, so small. It just takes 8 seconds to go over there, come back. But like if you think of it on the grand scale of something so tiny called the Earth, because it's really not that big in this grand scale of how big the sun is. The Earth is so tiny, and especially your little picture, like it looks
What
really
does that
big.
have to do with the size?
I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there.
Let
I'll tell
him
you
talk.
what. Yeah, I'm gonna get there. So
Just
the
get
picture.
there quick. Don't spend 12
I'll tell
hours
you what.
trying to get there.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. If I want your opinion, I'll unmute you. Okay? Is that fair? Is that? Are you okay with that?
Just get to the answer. Don't spend
all right.
12 hours getting there.
I appreciate it. All right, appreciate it. Thank you. All right. If I need you to say something, I'm gonna unmute you. Anybody else want to jump in real quick and then let me know that you also want to be muted? And if I need you to say anything, by all means, I will unmute you. Is that okay?
He just can't
okay.
stop. He doesn't want to
Me too.
explain
You
anything.
muted yourself. Go talk to your people while I talk.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So
I'm waiting.
So here's the thing, McToon. The picture that you've posted along the ground right? I guess that's what they use to send the signal. That looks really large in comparison to like a person. Like if you put a car right there, like so in that scale, it looks really, really big. But in the scheme of your huge, universe, that's actually like a pebble of sand in all of Earth right there, compared to maybe even smaller, compared to how big the sun is in the distance. Now you're gonna shoot a signal from that little pebble, and it's actually gonna travel how many miles that Pat said earlier? So many miles within 16 minutes. It travels so far, and somehow that signal is going to find itself back to that tiny little speck of sand. Somehow, some way, in your world, easy peasy lemon squeezy. We can do that all day, twice on Tuesdays. But my question is, you guys believe that to be, and then there's all these other like documents you're posting, all this how we calculate it, this is what it is. But in reality, McToon, would you not agree that that's a pretty impossible thing to accomplish?
Not at all. It's completely possible. That's a 500 kilowatt transmission. Feel free to show the EIRP analysis of that antenna array if you don't think that it's powerful enough to send a beam to the sun and then receive it back. Applying what you know of electromagnetism, which apparently must be a lot in order to say that it's not possible.
So 93 million miles, it went one direction, 93 million miles, and then another 93 million back, and it still hit that tiny speck because that piece of dirt is really small in the scheme of it, right? It's smaller than a speck of sand.
Do you not know how radio waves travel? They do spread out.
Well, are you saying that the radio waves came back larger than the Earth itself?
Much larger, yes.
Way bigger, right? It bounced off and just this is the fantasy world.
It got larger. What's wrong with that? Show the EIRP analysis of that. That's right. What you need. So that's your task, to show the EIRP analysis supporting your claim that it's not possible.
So you're saying that people in, let's say, even Europe could have picked up the signal bouncing back, because technically just all of Earth should have been able to.
Well, so only portions of the Earth that were facing the sun at the time.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Now, if you're right on the edge, right when it lasted, and then 5 minutes later, the ball turned away from the sun in your world, then guess what? They're not going to get the signal. I get it, but everybody else should have got the signal, right? Everybody on the face of wherever the sun touched.
If they had a powerful enough antenna that was tuned to the frequency, they certainly could have. Yeah.
What's the problem with that? I feel like you could still pick it up, right? Don't these waves bounce at the same time in Earth's atmosphere?
What do you mean bounce at the same time in the Earth's atmosphere?
When radio signals the ionosphere, is it? Doesn't the ionosphere have something to do with this a little bit?
The ionosphere bounces radio waves of certain frequencies at certain angles. Yes.
So if you shoot straight,
if that had nothing to do with it, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Yeah, it did not.
So neither does the size of the universe.
So let me ask
you this. Nothing to do with the measurement of the distance to the sun.
So let me ask you this: when the radar when that beam of light first takes off from this field of however they sent it.
A lot of us are really smart. I'm really smart.
Okay, so when it launches off, right, and it's going through our air, our sky, is that slowing down the signal because it's a medium that's is it slowing down the signal?
Yeah, the index of refraction is what is that's the number we use to determine the speed of light through a medium. So the speed of light through air, the index of refraction is 1.00001 or something like that, and through a vacuum is 1.0. So the speed of light through air and the speed of light through vacuum is very, very close. And since this is sending it almost perfectly straight up, very, very nearly straight up. So it has a very short distance through the air. Then it goes through the vacuum of space, bounces off the sun, comes back, and then goes through that same rather short distance through the air again.
Okay, so what speeds it up then? I'm very, very curious in your
What
world.
speeds it up? So the speed of light.
Right.
Yeah, light has a certain speed in different mediums.
Right. So when it slows down, then what speeds it back up? Once it leaves that medium,
Yeah.
what gives it that energy to speed up to that?
It's the same amount of energy, actually. It's the Einstein-Planck equation. So the amount of energy did not change.
Oh, okay. So it slows it down, so it speeds up because it has the same energy behind it. That's what you're saying. That's how you explain it.
No.
So something can fly through.
You asked, how does it have different energy? I answered by saying it does not have different energy. It has the same amount of energy.
I said, how does it pick up the speed again? So if it's slowed down, how does it pick up the speed again?
Light has a speed dependent on the medium.
Correct.
Yeah.
So if it goes through a medium, right, it would slow. Okay, for instance, let me give you an example. And I know it's very simple. I shoot a bullet right through a fish tank. Okay. But it's it's a big fish tank. It's like, let's say like a 8-foot long fish tank. Okay. And I shoot a bullet through there. Now we have a speed that the bullet would travel when it leaves the gun. But once it hits the water, it slows down a lot. But what if it made it through the water, through the fish tank? What if it exploded the glass and all of a sudden it picks up the speed again, as if I just launched it from the gun?
Yeah.
How does that happen in your world?
That doesn't happen in the bullet because the bullet actually loses energy, where the photon does not. The reason why isn't really important because it's a rather complicated topic. But the important thing for you to remember, this is very important.
A lot of us are really smart. I'm really smart.
The fact is that refraction happens. Snell's law exists. The P1000 camera could not exist if light did not travel slower through glass than it does through air. It's critically important that all these things happen. So why a photon is a different velocity in glass versus out of glass doesn't actually change the fact. Doesn't explain anything to you, right? Because I don't think you quite have this physics background, which is fine. I'm not knocking you for it. But the fact is that it happens. I'm wearing glasses now.
It's just you guys' story.
I need glasses. No, it's not a story. I need glasses to read. I don't need glasses to see far away. The fact is that glasses refract light because the light slows down when it goes through the glass. That's it. It happens. Why it happens, why does Snell's law work, doesn't really matter. There are explanations for it. I don't think you're going to quite have the backing for it.
So when that photon hits your eye,
yeah,
where does it go to when it hits your eye? I'm just going along your world. This is all your fake world, stupid world you live in. Photons are flying and they're flying everywhere.
I could explain it if you wanted really quickly. So basically, as the photon goes into an atom, it is being delayed because it has to travel through that. That's why it's being delayed. It's not magically changing speed. It's delaying its movement. I don't know if maybe that's the best way I can put it for you. I'm trying to put it like, would you say it like that, Toon, in a really basic way?
I think if you're gonna give a basic way, I think the Usain Bolt explanation is the best.
Well, I used to say it was like a car that was, instead of driving forward, it was like swerving around the road, but it was still going 60. But I don't think that matches, but it was kind of the simplest I could come up with at one point. But I guess it's, I don't know.
I can try.
There you go. It's explained.
I'll try.
We're just debating your falsehoods. Go ahead.
I'll try to explain using Usain Bolt.
Yeah, I'd like to know what that is.
All right. Now, there's no question that Usain Bolt can run faster than me. Now, if I was if both myself and Usain were in a convention center that had people that were interested in, running.
Photons?
No. This is an analogy. This is an analogy for you. So, Usain would have a hard time getting out of there because everybody would be like, "Hey, I have a question for you. He's going to have a hard time leaving because there's a bunch of people in the way. Myself, though, they don't know me. I'm not a fast runner. I would just walk right out of there and nobody would be in my way. So there you go. There's a
Ooh,
kind of a kindergartner version of it. Or
if you had a chain of LEDs with solar panels on the end and you click them, then they would kind of go off in a sequence. Maybe is that maybe a little bit like a light sensor on one end, so you click it, it delay. I don't know. I'm trying to visualize it, but I don't.
And that's a good story.
I don't think I can do it at this level.
Yeah, you guys are filled with stories, and that's all we're talking about.
I was giving you the 5-year-old explanation for it.
Right.
Because that's what you were asking for, right? You want me to give you a simplified version of it. I'm not going to give you the quantum physics answer. You don't have the quantum physics background.
No.
It's right.
Not that I don't have the quantum physics background. It's that it's more bullshit. That's all it is. It's just more bullshit. That's all.
It's just incredulity.
When all else fails, water mountains.
Yes, it's water mountains. Patrick Butler.
Oh yeah.
Call out to Patrick Butler.
I'm really smart.
Who keeps doing that? Hammer? Dude, stop.
Probably Hammer.
Oh, shots fired! Oh.
All right, there we go. Hammer, if you want to talk, I talk, but
yeah, we don't remember to show up.
All right, dude, it's been 2 hours.
That went fast.
It did. I have a bunch of people that have sent questions in the form of super chats. If I don't know if you want to hear it.
Go ahead. Feel free.
Please ignore mine. Please ignore mine.
Would it have to do with an sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Who wants to be ignored?
Me, Patman. Patrick.
Pat. Water mountains.
Patrick wants, Water Mountains, man,
Water
needs
mountains,
to be
Pat.
ignored.
Oh, dude,
just ignore my chats because I was stupid.
I love the water mountains.
I was stupid. I didn't talk about water mountains. I was wondering how the hell to get into this Discord, and the link was in my face the whole time, and I was asking everybody questions about it. Yeah.
All right.
Terrible.
All right. Slithery says boop.
I made it though.
Boop boop whoop. It's McToon, says Slithery. PhD Tony, who was in here briefly, and I think he was in out for a jog. He says, "Are you suggesting that Flerfs are rational enough to have wants? Citation needed." I don't. The context might have helped. Stringer News 1 says Flat Earth is boot camp for used car salesmen. How many of you are used car salesmen? Show of hands.
All.
I'm not a used car salesman.
I recently bought a car from a used car salesman.
Was he a flat earther?
I don't believe so. He did not mention it, and he did not have a shirt that said "I am Mark Sargent," which definitely all you flat earthers should definitely wear walking around a shirt that says "I am Mark Sargent." All right, Kentucky Jerks want to give a shout out to Mrs. Garrett, my 11th grade physics teacher, retiring after 34 years of teaching. 32 at Atherton High School. She knew the Earth was a globe. Shout out to Mrs. Garrett.
Oh my God! How would you know?
What's that?
How in the hell would she know
that the Earth is a globe? Okay, yeah, yeah, it's easy to figure out. The grumpy old mechanic. All right, the grumpy old mechanic says, why does every university library have hundreds of feet of shelf space devoted to astronomy and geophysics journals? Anybody?
See, again, that's the world we live in. We live in a world that dude, you know how much money goes into the baller.
Write your own. Get it
billions
published. Go ahead.
And billions every year for your baller. Hey,
go ahead. Write your own.
Here's something interesting.
Do some actual research.
Hey, here's something interesting, McToon. Have you realized, especially lately, like in all TV shows, in all movies, they're really pushing the ball a lot, big time.
I don't watch TV very much, but when I do, it's usually cooking shows. So I can say that on season 2 of the American barbecue thing, where they're doing barbecuing out in the yard, and they have to. The last one I watched, they had to dig a hole and do some underground barbecuing. They had no globes in that I saw, so I can't speak to that. PhD Tony, and this is a good one. So remember, I said the main demarcation between science and not science.
Maybe he has you muted. He might have you muted, Hammer.
Who?
Hammer's trying to call you, but you're.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Man up.
No reason to
Hammer,
call, right?
Hammer kept playing little audio clippets, and I'm like, what are you doing? I mean, I'll if he's done with that, I'll unmute him.
Yeah, go ahead and mute him.
All right.
Not all about you, Tune. There's other people here.
I get it. I didn't mute him for other people. I only muted him for myself.
So go ahead, Hammer. He unmuted you, I guess. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Go ahead.
That's it. Super. All right. So I mentioned earlier that that the primary demarcation between science and not science is falsifiability, and PhD Tony comes in with a distinction on that, which is an important one. He says falsifiable is not the sole distinction. Astrology, I think he said astronomy, but I think he means astrology. Astrology is falsifiable, but that does not make it scientific. Correct. Astrology is not a science, so falsifiability isn't the only distinction between science and not science.
I thought it was clearly that between the scientific method and the other one, you couldn't use the scientific method.
Nope.
I guess
it's not that, because the scientific method isn't this rigid cookbook. Go just if
it's
you
the
wanna,
fundamentals though, no?
Go Google Understanding Science Berkeley. They have a great website that explains how science is done. If you want to read a book on it, Thomas Kuhn has a book. I have it right here, The Structure of Scientific Revolutions, Thomas Kuhn. But first, I would suggest reading Karl Popper's The Logic of Scientific Discovery, which I have sitting on my desk as well, but it's holding up stuff.
Why would we read all these books that are they're just glorifying the falsehoods? Why would we get those books?
Because they're explaining how we can learn things and test things and be certain about stuff. That's what
they are. They're just making you further believe the lies. But go ahead, read your super chat.
Sure. All right. Melodic Light says someone doesn't know what a standard candle is. It's one of the ways that we measure the distance to stars. There's multiple ways.
No.
I did a
scientific method here. Sorry.
Hold on, Patrick.
Scientific method. Sorry. Go on, McDoon. My bad. I'll shut up now.
I have a podcast. If you look on YouTube for Toon Show, just TOON show, I have a podcast. Eric Burns was on there, and he covered multiple different ways that we measure the distance to stars. You can watch that. You can see if you agree or disagree, and if you disagree, you can show where you got it wrong.
I know how to calculate the distance to the moon as far as globe Earth math is considered. And I can't tell you off the top of my head right now, but I know it. Just have to do a little refreshing. But I can't calculate the distance to the sun yet because I'm too stupid, and I can't do the stars yet. But I'd love to see the video. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Well, it's for free. You don't have to pay anything. Or you can just go on Spotify and search for Toon Show and subscribe to my podcast there. That's the audio version, though. If you want to see stuff, you have to go to YouTube. All right.
This metaphysics we're talking about now?
What's that?
Everything's in a book. Everything's in a book.
Not everything's in a book.
We're talking about metaphysics, right?
Sorry, you're cutting out.
A book. You're reading everything.
He said
out.
at least your audience gets something right. They are stupid, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you can't prove metaphysics anyways because nobody knows how to measure a soul. Period.
That was exactly the point of what Popper was talking about, as well as the Vienna Circle.
We're talking about metaphysics. You guys don't know how to measure anything. You calculate everything.
And
it's
Steve,
made up.
Steve, keep the microphone out of your mouth. I don't know what you're doing, but it's like you're chewing on it. Metaphysics, measure, calculate. That's what you sound like, dude. I don't know what's wrong with your mic, but fix it.
Interrupt me.
Oh my gosh.
What do you got going on?
I mean, I chew on a few crayons once in a while, but damn.
Dude,
book, you're going to paraphrase. You learned everything out of a little book. Have you ever got your hands dirty, huh? That's called metaphysics. You learned it in a book.
No, it's not.
You learned
that
it.
has nothing to do with metaphysics. Metaphysics is things that can't be measured by physics. It's beyond the physical. It would be religion, for example.
Physical. You ought to learn something about physical.
Oh my gosh, Steve. All right, Steve, here, let's learn something physical. Fix your microphone, Steve. It sounds terrible.
Let me give some advice too. Geology is like one of those weird sciences where it's like so unimaginable to even start to believe in it. I mean, they can tell a rock. So hold on, this is my opinion and my perspective.
Well, we
So
don't need your fucking opinion.
these people can literally tell that a rock layer is 64 million years old or whatever. So they see
more
fossils.
retardedness.
Yeah, all of that, and that just blows my freaking mind. I would have never.
Are you fucking retarded? You got me turned down, Tunes, huh?
I might be stupid, but that is the most unbelievable and crazy science.
Listen, Pat, Steve, if I'm
you
reading,
coward, that bullshit he just said. 26 million years. I mean, my God, you guys are terrible.
64 million years, I believe.
What the hell are you talking about, Steve?
Well, he admitted it's his opinion, it's his perspective.
Yeah,
So
this
it's
is
not
just my
fact at
perspective
all.
and
It's
my
just his
opinion.
opinion that they can do these things. He doesn't know that they can do these things for real.
If it is wrong, I'd love to be called out, though. I believe it's 64 million years for the fossils in the dinosaur era. Unless I'm
But
wrong.
the publications are out there. Go have a look at them and see where they made their errors.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Entirety is.
I think it's around that time frame, though.
All fake.
You guys are clowns.
All right, Steve. Steve, I'm muting you because your microphone sucks. I'm just muting you for me. The other people can hear your crappy microphone. So
sounds fine.
All right. I'm reading some stuff from the audience. So Pat, you're gonna have to tone down the crayon munching there a little bit. All right. I know you get high in the purple.
Okay. Will do.
All right. Thanks.
I'll try to be quiet again.
Liquid Flame says, I get folks not understanding gravity and horizons, fine. But uninterrupted video of rockets leaving Earth showing a round planet, if it's CGI conspiracy, it'd be the biggest, most successful one ever.
Definitely is.
Definitely
Like
true.
that.
That would be the biggest ever. Yeah. 3 Ron says, big surprise, Flerfs that don't understand what falsification is and only have nuh-uh. Big surprise indeed.
Yeah, it's big surprise that when we tell you, hey, you believe in a lie, you guys are like, nuh-uh. No, it's
just
not a
claim.
lie.
All you've done is make
Big
claims.
surprise.
You've just
Well,
made claims.
Big surprise. Big surprise.
The door is open. The invitation is there for you to falsify it. Saying "nuh-uh" is not a falsification. Saying it's all lies is not a falsification. If it's wrong,
you don't have to
show where it's wrong.
Not provided evidence. You don't provide any evidence. You don't have to falsify anything, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did. I posted evidence.
Asserted without evidence can be disregarded just as quickly.
Yeah, and I posted evidence, and you didn't actually refute the evidence.
I was asking you questions about it, and all you guys dogpiled me and said I was stupid because I was asking you questions about it. But we ultimately got to the conclusion that you weren't even using that. That paper has nothing to do with what you're trying to say, right? You're just taking a little part of it and then doing
there you
your
go.
own calculations to
100%.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah. Absolutely. 100%. The only part of that paper I was using was the amount of time it took to bounce.
So you have no supporting evidence other than what you've done on your little calculations to show the distance of the sun. That's what you're saying.
And if you disagree, show where I got it wrong. Instead of just saying nuh-uh. Show where I got it wrong. You have not done that.
You've yet to verify it.
How?
As many people have pointed out, you've yet to actually verify it.
But I did. There were 2 of them.
Your little calculations on paper don't need to be shown wrong because
yes, they do.
Verify.
They 100% do. You have only provided incredulity. That's all you have. You didn't actually show where I got it wrong.
It's called Hitchens razor, McToon. I'm sure you're familiar with it. Maybe you should educate your audience.
Yeah, that's
what does incredulity
means that you guys have no actual argument because you have to rely on belief, right? Because you're saying the refusal to believe my story instead of actually just providing factual evidence for what you're trying to claim. Thank you.
Here, I'll
I heard
incredulity
it was
is I don't understand it or I don't believe it. Therefore, nuh-uh. That's it. I'll put a little quote there. There you go. I'll read it for you.
Who created that word?
The argument from incredulity is a logical fallacy that occurs when someone concludes that since they can't believe something is true, then it must be false and vice versa. For example, someone using the argument from incredulity might claim that since they don't see how a certain scientific theory could be true, then it must be false. People often use arguments from incredulity in an attempt to discredit valid theories that they disagree with, and in order to support various unfounded or pseudoscientific theories. That is from effectivology.com.
Thank you for confirming that you don't understand incredulity, because it never said anywhere about not understanding, as you stated.
The
Thank you.
underlying thing too is you have to provide evidence. I mean, to at least battle the mainstream
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
And
you guys got to provide evidence, and we have yet to see it.
I did.
We have evidence.
You didn't look
8
at
billion people do.
You have no evidence.
Again, that's just denial. Denialism isn't evidence. It is not a refutation.
It's not denial. It's
refusing to even look at stuff is not a refutation. I showed the amount of time that it took to bounce light from or bounce radar from the sun.
Here and we tried to go
didn't
through
like
what
it. You did not refute it. You just said nuh-uh, and then you declared that you won, but you actually lost.
Thank you for confirming you have no evidence.
You lose by denying evidence when it's presented to you.
It's not,
an instant
to me, it's
loss.
not a win-lose thing, right? The
No,
fact that you
it's
bring
100% a
losing,
lose.
it shows that
you
you're actually
100%. You 100% lost.
You can continue
because I presented evidence. You did not present a
that you won
refutation. You did not present any other evidence supporting your claim. You instantly lost when you didn't actually refute the data.
To be
That's how you
real,
lose.
Again,
I'm
somebody
used
that
to
has to
losing debate.
confirm how much somebody else lost in an argument is the one that lost. But
Said
that's
nobody
just how
ever.
I-
Said, all right. I'm going to tell you what. I'm never going to get through this because you won't let me. So I'm going to head out. Thanks a lot, Apocryphon.
Yeah.
Hey,
We'll,
take it
you
easy,
later.
man.
Yeah, we'll catch you later.
See you again.
All right. Well, those dummies. Oh, tell you, it's a definite failure. Flerfs want to be wrong. That's the title of this video, and it's 100% the case. They want to be wrong. I showed the actual empirical measurements of the amount of time it took for the light to bounce off the sun. They said, "Did you actually verify it yourself?" As if that's their actual standard of evidence. They don't actually require that standard of evidence when it's stuff that they like, right? Somebody else did some video. Somebody else did this. But they didn't actually do these things. And yet they still believe it. So it's this false dichotomy that they have. So anyway, Mr. Unite for the Chillwind said, does the speed of light increase in density? It decreases in higher density objects generally. So yeah, that was Apocryphon really, man, it's frightening that he has a kid in 7th grade. Very frightening. I mean, can you imagine? Please don't teach your kid anything, Apocryphon. If he's getting A's, let him keep educating himself, and then later when he's an adult, he can laugh at his dad for being so dumb. The Sun Express, quote, "They duplicated it." Flerf admitting to calculating a measurement. Yeah, and that's a common thing. They try to hand-wave dismiss things that include calculations because it contradicts their stuff instead of actually identifying any errors in it. When, of course, all measurements, except for a very few, have some sort of calculation in them. In fact, all of the SI units now include some sort of measurement or some sort of calculation. It used to be, and somebody made the point, the distance of the meter initially was defined based on the amount of the length from the North Pole to the equator through Paris. And that changed over time from that distance. Then they had different lengths that they, metrics that they're like, here's a bar. This bar is now defining a meter. And they actually embedded it in a building, on the outside of a building, so anybody could come up to it and they could put their measure for what whatever they wanted to use, a rope or a string or something, and say, here's 1 meter. But then how do you measure 2 meters? Right? So they go get their string. Just say you use a string. You put the string right up against the bar that's on the side of the building. You put a mark on the one end, or you just cut it so that it's the right length. Okay? So then you go and you measure, well, how long is this? Well, let's put down that string on the thing we're going to measure. Okay, we put down one string. How do you measure that it might be longer than 1 meter? You're going to use that string again, or use a string that you put up against that meter thing twice? Well, if you did it twice, you did it 2 times. That's a calculation. And did you notice when I asked, give me one example of a measurement that doesn't include any calculations? He could not. Not even once. Yes, they'd use a 2-bar meter, obviously. Corntex says, are not calculations needed to make planetary gears for automatic transmissions? They are. Calculation, you can't, you actually, there is no, like I asked him, how do you measure density? You can't. How do you measure volume? You can't. How do you measure area? You can't. All of those require a calculation. Everyone does. Yet somehow they're okay with the idea of density. The Sun Express says measuring tapes available in the US have calculations printed right on them. 1/32, 1/32 of an inch. That's a great point. 1/16, 1/8, 1/4, 1/2 inch measurements. Those are all calculations. Perfect. Tim Davidson said, yes, with only half a brain, we'd be flat earthers. I think you'd need to take a lot more away than that. BJ Tony says, apologies for butting in on your stream. Well, Tony, it's always good for you to show up. Love it. But yeah, were you in a marathon? Were you out for a jog or something? Fact Base says, Rachie 50s, name the force you are using. Don't hide. I don't know what that I missed. I see that Rachie was in here. I don't know. Are you still in here, Rachie? And that she had been going around with some people. Rachie, I can't believe Rachie jumped on board with the Flat Earth Society Earth is accelerating upwards thing. I mean, I don't care. I don't care what version of downward acceleration excuse you use. I think it's funny that you all have these different versions, and of course all of them are falsified pretty easily. But anyway, Patrick Butler, who was in there, what were you in there? Pat man, what gatekeeper do I have to pay so I get on this Discord? It was, yeah. Mr. E-Man says, talking to a Flerf equals getting interjected from a consuming too much word salad. Getting interjection, yes. Like, they ask a question, I start to answer, and they hate that I'm actually answering it. They instantly jump in and ask another question. So, Piecewise Functioneer says, have you forgotten about using Archimedes' principle for volume? I have not. Archimedes' principle being you take something and you put it in a vessel where the water is at the top, right? And then you submerge that thing inside the vessel and then the water will overflow, right? And then you measure the volume of the thing, of the amount of water that overflowed. But how did you measure the volume of the vessel that you're using to measure the volume, right? So you pour it into a container that has gradations on it that says 1 liter, 2 liter, 3 liter. Well, wait a second. You can't have 1 liter, 2 liter, 3 liter without a calculation. You can't even get liter without a calculation, because a liter is what? It's based on a cubic decimeter. It's the volume of a cubic decimeter, right? How is it? What's a cubic decimeter? Well, that requires calculation. So unless you have the one and only ever made vessel that measures volume in whatever volume you're going to use, and the thing that you measured was exactly that size, then you're going to need a calculation. Again, so like I said, with very few exceptions, you always have to do some sort of calculation. So there you go. The one that is the standard for a liter, which doesn't exist anymore, but say you could go back. Say there was. I don't think there ever was. Right? Because a liter is a derived unit from meter. And so the meter that was on the wall of some building was what you used to calculate the size of a liter. So there never actually was the standard for liter, to my knowledge. Maybe there was. Maybe in some other units of measure there was a volume metric. Certainly in sheep units there is. So, String News 1 says, trying to teach the unteachable wastes your time. True. Now I'm not trying to teach them. Don't make the mistake that I think that any of these Flerfs that I'm debating are the target of my teaching or the intended audience for my refutation of flat Earth. None of the people that I'm debating are the target for that, right? And that's why I'm cautious with how I explain things when they ask. So when he's like, well, how does light slow down? Like, he's not going to understand the quantum physics explanation for it. To be honest, I would prefer to just read something else, because my ability to explain it could definitely not even touch somebody else's explanation in quantum physics. And the Usain Bolt is a little bit sloppy because it's more about photons exiting the sun than and that's where I heard it from. So yeah, Usain Bolt, photons exiting the sun versus neutrinos exiting the sun. That's the analogy from Even Bananas. Find that. Even Bananas. Do you have a quantum explanation? I doubt it very much. Do I have a quantum explanation? No, I certainly would just refer to somebody else, like I said, Daryl Frost. But you go ahead. You figure it out yourself. Patrick Butler. Never mind my last comment. All right. Toads in the Eye says, hey, Flerfs, facts are greater than feelings. And so, yeah, Apocryphon just had feelings. That's all he had. His refutation of everything was 100% based on feelings. Nothing based on facts. He didn't have any refutation. It's an instant fail. And in a debate, yes, is there a winner or a loser in a debate? I mean, not really. It's who was swayed, if you're going to actually try to measure that. But in a debate on a video like this, we have no way to measure who may or may not have been swayed. We'd have to have everybody that watched it and then query them before and after to see what their position was and see if maybe the dial on their position moved a little bit, and then sum them up to see if the summing of all of them moved. Or maybe you'd want to exclude those that are kind of already polarized, right? So most of you already are polarized. So you'd want to get just those that are in the middle, in that little gap between. They're like, oh, that was some good. That was mine. They moved their opinion a little bit. Otherwise, how do you measure the win? Well, you definitely can measure who won in a scientific discussion based on who presents evidence and who does not present evidence. I presented evidence. They refuted it, tried to, by saying, nuh-uh. Or, did you do that yourself? Sorry, did you do that yourself is not a part of the scientific method. Not even the middle school version of the scientific method includes reject everything you did not do yourself. I did notice, Mr. E-Man, that Rachie and Gary were both gifted a membership. So thank you to Siggy for that gifting. On Rachie, I'll say it may be okay, but Gary, oh my goodness, if only you say not for Gary. And it's not like he even is listening. He never even listens hardly. Not never, but I think he rarely does. Okay. Horn Texas, pull up Jaren's laser through hole. How big is the beam at the receive side? Now RF spreads even more, which is why we need so much power to account for losses. Big beam came back weaker and way wider. Yes, and this was way beyond way beyond their ability. He was trying to talk about the sun moving around the galaxy and trying to bring up some lag or something like that. Not understanding, yes, that the beam widens as it goes out, no matter how tight you try to make it. You cannot collimate it perfectly. And that array certainly would have a very wide beam. That's why it was 500 kilowatts. Super powerful. I can't imagine being near it. You certainly would not want to be near it. And an experiment like that might be a bit difficult to reproduce today, because 500 kilowatts, right? You could do it with lower power, but a 500 kilowatt transmission, you might have some problems. I don't think HARP is that powerful. I think HARP is quite a bit. I'm not sure offhand. HARP is a similar thing, though. It's an array of antennas. Certainly a very different frequency range for HARP. This was, well, hold on, I got it here. 38 MCs per second. It's a different unit. Mega cycles per second. Yeah. Oh, and I'll put this here for people. The Flerfs hate this. They hate it so much. They have no answer. You know they're done because they never have an answer. Okay. But yes, Jaren, yeah, absolutely. And Jaren complained about it, rightly so, that the light that came through the hole when you looked at it, it lit up the whole thing, right? That's because they had multiple, even the laser that they used and tried to collimate, but it didn't work. So, all right. Tommy Gronwald says, after all these questions about the globe, how about a simple question about flat Earth? How high is the sun? Oh my goodness. And that's the thing. These flat earthers, they never can answer anything about flat Earth. And of course, you ask them, especially the Discord Flerfs, because they tend to, be in echo chambers and have similar answers. You're like, well, tell me something about flat Earth. Oh, well, I'm not a flat earther. I'm a don't know earther. Yes, okay, you're an ignorant earther. That's so impressive. It's not. It's not impressive. You actually do think that the Earth is flat. But you know that every single time that your claims are tested, they fail. That's why you run from them. You have to. So yeah, a good point, Tony. Tommy. Sean Thomas says, yes, we calculated it. Get over it. E.T. Tony. Yes. 3 Round says, the Earth is flat. Just believe us. That's the story. That's it. That is the beginning and ending of their evidence. Earth flat. That's it. Flat Earth math. Oh, I love it. Charles says, I believe their line of questioning is how far researchers moved in 16 minutes after finding radar is valid for a planar mirror sun rather than a spherical sun which reflects radially. Yes, and of course we couldn't get to that. They would not allow a response to that. Somebody else had to jump in. But yeah, not just radial planar, not just planar, because if it was a planar mirror, a planar mirror sun would still have a wider beam when it got to the Earth, because the beam is spread out over the distance between the Earth and the sun. If you had a flat mirror that was reflecting it, it would continue to get bigger on the way back. So depending on the beam width and the sensitivity of the instrument, you still probably could receive it. But yeah, it's a great point. The sun is a sphere. It bounces the pattern back based on the surface that it is. So it's going to have a radial reflection. Mr. Toffel says, Peachy Tony is the man. Listen and learn, people. He is. I love listening to Tony. Even more when he's not on a jog. Who's a troll, I think, says the issue is they just live to argue with people smarter than them and try to make you stoop to their level. Well, I try not to stoop, but I mean, it is, I say it's FE. FE stands for free education. I give them free education, but they're unwilling. They're unwilling students. There I got to where Siggy gifted 50 memberships. Thank you so much, Siggy. I just today updated the ticker that goes across. Oh, I don't have it on this particular screen. Let me get it up here on this one here. Nope, not that one. Well, it was in the Discord one. Yeah, here's the Discord one. No, it wasn't there. Where is it? I thought it was, you know what? It might be broketed. It was working before though. Well, I'll go back to this. I may have to verify it. But anyway, I will have to once again update it, which is just fine by me. But the outro I definitely will have, because I'll make sure that works. Mark Beiser says, who's been a member for 35 months. Mark, thank you very much. Says the power of nuh-uh compels you. Yes, that is what they have, the power of denial. Siggy Sigwald says this money is for the PhD Tony Infinite Patience Fund. Hail Sagan. Glober Mom says Siggy Sigwald's avatar needs to be an emoji. That's a great idea. I'll do that. I'll do that, Siggy. It's a good idea. I was looking at something. Ernest Patriot says the radar signal reflected off the sun would cover the entire Earth, hence large gain antenna with sensitive receivers. Cryo-cooled. I didn't know if it was cryo-cooled. But yeah, I mean, it's sending for 15 or 16 minutes and receiving for 16 minutes. And they could only do it during certain portions of the day because it needed to be pointing at the sun. So you can't do it when it's off axis for very much. So Siggy comes back again with says, I love that they keep asking for answers when they don't even understand the question they are asking. Exactly. So Apocryphon, to get to this one, he said, what part of the sun's atmosphere did the signal bounce off of? And I gave him the answer. It's whatever, greater than 1.6 R0, whatever that means, right? It doesn't really matter a whole lot because the entire radius of the sun is within the margin of error of the measurement that I provided. So, it's definitely not a factor. And of course, neither is the width of the beam, and he totally didn't get it. Mr. E-Man says, consuming Flerf word salad is likely to cause indigestion. Show due care of the dressing. Somebody else mentioned later that they like Thousand Island dressing on their Flerf word salad. I'm partial to blue cheese. So thinking about cake says, wait. These people actually believe that every picture and video of the Earth is fake. What? Yes, they do. Every single of the thousands and thousands, they say, it must be fake for their fantasy delusion world to continue to exist. It must be. And there must be a global cabal of people that are all in on it. And the number of people that must be involved would be absolutely massive. And there has never been one person, never, that's like, hey, I did it. I'm the one. Like, nobody has ever done that. There's one guy, I love this. Like, they're like, this guy used to work at NASA and now he's a flat earther. He's a whistleblower. No. I've watched his stuff. He was in IT and he was a consultant. So yeah, he worked on computers, like installing them, troubleshooting them, have you tried turning it off and back on again? Is it plugged in? Are you absolutely sure that it's plugged in? All right, I'll come up there. It goes up. It wasn't plugged in. That guy is the one Flerf NASA employee. Yeah, doesn't speak well. Doesn't do much. But yes, thinking about cake, that is, yep, that's it. Kyle. Oh, Kyle says I prefer Thousand Island dressing on my Flerf word salad. I read it ahead of time. So 3 Round says sufficient technology will appear as magic to Flerf minds. I mean privative minds. Oh, same thing. Siggy Sigwald for 666 ARSs says, so far this has been hilarious. Is less difficult to teach a cat to dismantle a nuclear warhead than to explain radio waves to these people. I fear for PhD Tony's mental health, though. Hail Sagan. Indeed. Melodic Lights says MC2 Live. The best way to describe is that the permittivity and permissibility of space suddenly changes for the photon. You think they're going to understand that? Seriously? Let's have them do Maxwell's equations. How about that? Here you go. Just do the curl for Gauss's law. Go ahead, people. Go ahead. Do you want the partial differential equation form or the integral form? The what? Well, what? Oh, got it right here. Right. It's in this book, the electromagnetism book. That was the book I used when I was studying electrical engineering. I bought back a copy of it. It's not the exact same one. It's from a different. This is University something Technical College, Rudolph Center, Vermont. So there you go. This was from Vermont. So, yeah, that's funny. Siggy comes back again and says, ask them why they think they can confidently call BS on concepts they are not capable to understand and why actual science should be replaced by their version of science. And of course, their answer is what? It's all BS. That's all they have. That's all they have. They call BS on concepts that they don't understand. You're right. They do not understand the speed of light in mediums. And they want an explanation for it. And yet they think that they can actually refute science that relies on that. They know they can't. And when I say the invitation is there, of course it's tongue in cheek, for them to go read the paper, find the errors and point out the errors. Because these concepts are way, way beyond them. These are the dumbest people of society. Flat earthers, you are the dumbest people on earth. That's why you think that the earth is flat. You're not dumb because you're a flat earther. You're a flat earther because you're dumb. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You think you're smart, but you're not. Get over yourself. Go do actual science or just shut up, right? I would gladly, people like, you need flat earthers. No, I don't. I'm employed. If I wanted, if all of you flat earthers tomorrow said, oh, we were just kidding, and I had no more videos to make, I would have something to do. I don't need you, flat earthers. And even more to the point, right? There are enough dumb people around that I can enjoy laughing at other versions of dumb people. There's a whole group of people that think aliens actually talk to them and that there's a galactic federation, like Star Wars, Star Trek, that they actually think there's a galactic federation, and that there's a whole bunch of YouTubers that talk to them and then report back the politics from the galactic federation. That doesn't exist. It's these people just making stuff up. It's no different than what flat earthers do when they make stuff up. It's just invented garbage. So, War of 1971 had a super chat for $1, but no message. Thank you for that, Mr. 1971. PT Tony says, can flat earthers find mineral deposits using relative density? Or explain the 50-meter difference in mean sea level between northern and southern India? They cannot. They can't explain tides other than saying it's the gentle rising and falling of the What? In the bosom of the mighty deep. That's it. That's the extent of their explanation. And when, this is important, when Apocryphon was going to explain their very deep understanding of why things are obstructed bottom up over flat Earth, and I said he was just going to have some vague collections of words, he gave us a vague collections of words. He actually presented no empirical evidence. We all knew it was going to happen. It's just funny to laugh at him trying to do something. All right. Earth is life. It says flight from Dallas to South Korea, 14 hours. Flight from Santiago to Sydney, 14 hours. How is this possible if both of these flights are vastly different distances on flat Earth? And most of the Discord Flerfs will reject the AE map and instead replace it with absolutely nothing. Long-range navigation exists. 200-300 years ago, you might be able to say we don't need a map because long-range navigation was a big challenge. But today, you can get almost anywhere on the Earth within a day due to long-range navigation. Somebody knows the shape of the Earth very well in order to fly around it. You have a map. There is a map. A map exists. Just go get that map. There isn't. Oh, you don't have one? Well, then you lost. You lost before the race started. You came to a horse race without a horse, without a jockey, not even wearing shoes. You're just buck naked out in the field, and it's not even where the horse race is. And you think you're going to win the horse race. War of 1879. Why do I keep saying 1871? War of 1971 says is the Earth stationary in space? If the Earth is stationary and space doesn't exist, please tell us not just what's under the Earth, but what it's sitting on. Well, if you look at the thumbnail for this video, that's a picture from Daz Nez, a flat earther. This is his unveiled model at a flat Earth convention in England. That's what he thinks. It's this diamond shape. And under the flat Earth, it is sitting on 7 pillars. Look at the thumbnail. 7 pillars. He said it's on 7 pillars because the Bible said it was on 7 pillars. Maybe? I don't know if he got the 7 from the Bible or not. But what are the pillars sitting on? And why is that particular verse literal and other verses figurative? Flat earthers do like to cherry pick. If you look at the I'll get back to these in a second, but Isaiah 40:22. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to read that. This is important because they're so sloppy in their application. So, and they usually like the King James version, though some don't, some do. It's all over the place. Let's read it here. 40:22 says, "It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth." Here's the claims. Circle of the earth. "And its inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretcheth out the heaven as a curtain, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in." 4 things. One verse, 4 things. Circle, grasshoppers, curtain, tent. You know what? Grasshoppers. No flat earther would say that's literal. It's figurative. We aren't actually grasshoppers. We are figurative grasshoppers. Stretches out the heavens as a curtain. Do they actually think it's a curtain made of fabric? No, it's a figurative curtain. They'll say that. Spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in. Tent. Do they think it's an actual tent? The original readers of this would have been thousands of years ago. A tent to them was fabric or animal skins with sticks. Do they think that the sky is actually animal skin and sticks? No, they wouldn't. So this list of 4 things, 1 is literal, 4 are figurative. Why arbitrarily pick the 1 to be literal and leave the others as figurative? That is cherry picking at its finest, flat earthers. You have a pre-selected conclusion. You're desperately looking for things to support it. So sad for you. There you go. So what's under the earth? What's it sitting on? No answer. And they're fine being ignorant, because flat earthers aren't just flat earthers, they're ignorant earthers. Much Gum, love that. Much Gum says most used arguments tonight. I can't comprehend it, so it can't possibly be real. I can't comprehend that people who believe in flat earth exists. Therefore, I must assume you're all figments of my imagination. If only that were the case. Candace. Is it Candace? It's not Candace. There is a, oh yeah, it is Candace. Candace Taylor is a politician in Georgia that is a flat earther. Lynn Wood, you may have heard in the election last cycle as a lawyer. Lynn Wood is a flat earther. He's a lawyer. Stu Peters has a rather sizable Rumble video network. He is a flat earther. You see, flat earth isn't in isolation. These people are being influenced and being convinced to become flat earthers in politics, and they're trying to gain political power because they don't just want to sit in their echo chambers. What do they want to do? They want to force their flat earth religion on other people. They want it taught in schools. They want children to be taught flat earth. Why do you think Nathan Thompson was outside that school yelling to the playground of children? Because he desperately wants children to be flat earthers. You see this all the time. Everybody has their pet thing. Let's make sure we get the children. And this is, I got to be honest, this is everyone, regardless of religion, regardless of politics, regardless of everything, they all want to get the children. Everybody. Science educators want to get the children, want to teach the children. Yes, everybody does. So, Harry Warp says, if I remember correct, Candace Taylor is an educator. No. Well, I don't know exactly. She's, yeah, I don't think that her political position is a big political position, as it doesn't take a lot of her time. She has a PhD in psychology. Psychology, which some people would say is a pseudoscience. I can't argue that. Professor Parks, PhD, says, I teach the children. Exactly. Everybody wants to teach the children. It makes sense. Flat earthers desperately want to. If they got the power, they would definitely put it into schools. That's a problem. I'm not comfortable with that. So I'm not, as the people complain sometimes, like, why don't you just let them be in their echo chambers? Like, or just let them be, right? They're harmless. They're not. They're harmful. Because in order to believe flat earth, you have to disbelieve a whole lot of stuff. Tons of stuff. PJ Tony says, apologies for butting in on your stream. Well, thank you, Tony. I always appreciate it. Tim Davidson says, I'm convinced I'm a fat earther. I've seen a few of them around. You go to Walmart, you see a bunch. Naughty. I can't believe I said that. Lord Illuminous Pooh said, as leader of the Illuminati, we are not responsible for flat earth. This is totally Hydra. String News 1 says, I bought back one of my college textbooks, but all the margin notes were erased. What do you think it means? Yes, all of mine were erased too. All of the notes that I took, actually I didn't. Tell you what, I did not enjoy, because electrical engineers had to take some mechanical engineering classes and some computer science classes, but because I was a major in computer science as well, I'm like, oh, those were easy. The computer science classes that electrical engineers had to take, I'm like, this was fun. Because most of the students because it was like binary and Fortran, those were two binary assembly language, right? Not a lot of the computer science students took assembler, and even less took Fortran. But I was in them, and I'm like, oh, this was kind of fun. So anyway, I had to take statics and dynamics. I did not enjoy that class very much. And my teacher was terrible. I got a feeling that he was the mechanical engineering teacher that the other faculty that were in mechanical engineering were like, all right, let's have him teach the EE students this class that none of us want to teach anyway. He gets to teach it because it sucks. Anyway, I did not like the class. I took it with another EE major. Actually, I think most of us in the class, a lot of us were. We shared the book, right? We bought the book together. He was 2 rooms down from me, and we took, you know, those really big markers with the giant chisel head on it that have a really strong smell. Those, you know what I'm talking about? So if you draw on the book, it actually like dissolved the ink. So on many of the pages, we covered the entire page with this red or blue giant chisel marker, erasing all of erasing all the stuff. And then near the end of the class, when we were done with it, we actually, it was the next semester. We didn't sell it back. We kept it. And we put it we soaked it in water and then put it in the dryer. We were in the dorm. We put it in the dryer and so it was a bit fanned out. Right? It was a little thick there. Not a lot. The paper was actually kind of good quality. So then we put a lag screw through the entire book. There's a hole through the front all the way to the back. The paper kind of mushed around, so you couldn't really see through it well, but you could. And then we sold it back after the next semester, and they took it. They actually paid for it. They gave us the same as a book that wasn't destroyed. I have no idea. People are saying I learned Fortran 77. My Fortran book, where is it? Oh, no, I think I have it at work. I have my assembler book. I have my Lisp book. Yes, but I did take Fortran 77 as well. All right, where was I? I kind of got off track. There it is. Lord Illuminous Poo says, thanks for the misinformation tune. There's no federation, wink, wink. Nudge, nudge, say no more. Dude, if you gotta go watch it. I tell you, if the Flerfs go away, they're on the list. I actually have a handful of their videos already downloaded and like picking them up as they go. They are crazy, but they're just blissfully crazy. They're just like dumb as can be. Wow. Donald Trump's 34 indictments has been a member for 24 months and has a member super chat that is 5 tap cans. Cheers for that. And from Siggy Sigwald says, a question to all of us here on the chat. How many of you work in IT related jobs? I'm trying to gather data for my personal statistics. Well, I can help with that, Siggy. Do you work in IT? There you go. Yes, no. Siggy, it is on the way. I will, there it is. Can I answer my own poll? I can't actually answer my own poll. Anyway, there it goes. I think we're going to get a good number, aren't we? But you count me in because I do our right software. I was, so anti-spam stuff, was looking at some, we sit there and sometimes we just find different things, find different messages that we misidentified in some way or another. We review them. And so I was looking at some attachments that had some malicious content in it. And my goodness, some of them are good. I mean, when I see a email that has some really well obfuscated stuff, I'm like, hats off to you. That's amazing, right? I'm going to block all future versions of it, but well done. So threading the board says, can you add not any longer? No, if not any longer, work in IT, answer yes. How about that? I'll for Siggy's benefit. All right. Greg Edmond, I sold computers in the 80s. Does that count? Yes, definitely. Steve Wilson said, I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express. I would say that does not count as working in IT, though a lot of IT people might stay at a Holiday Inn Express themselves. Oh dear. Harry Warp, do you have a wall of printouts of good obfuscated code? I do not. I do not. I don't need this. I did have printouts when I was in school of the programs I wrote. And I hung them on the wall. Yeah, it's that nerdy. That nerdy. I actually, even worse. I'm a little embarrassed to actually say it. So this was, they printed out on continuous feed paper. And one of the ways that we had to turn in the homework was to print them out, and then we'd get them back. I printed out, handed it in, it came back, and some of them I put on the ceiling of my room in my parents' house. Because of course during college I was on campus for especially in the dorms, and then I'd come home and stay at home during breaks and in the summer. So yes, there was a while where on the ceiling of my bedroom I had printouts of the programs I wrote. So there it is. Mark Beiser says, does HVAC /R, what's the R stand for? Work count if I have to program PID loops and remotely diagnose systems via remote monitoring software? Yes, I'll say yes. I didn't know I was going to be the arbiter of what is working in IT or not. So, all right, we're at 60% no, which is 40% work in IT. That's a big number. All right, 136 votes. There's 460 of you here. So let's get a few more votes in just for Siggy's sake, and then that is impressive. That is impressive. Ryan N. So instead of naked women, you stared at your own Fortran code. No. It was Pascal. Seriously, it was. It was. My book's up there. There, hold on. I'll get it. Here it is. This is my book that I learned Pascal from. I really did like Pascal. There you go. Yes, it was Pascal. So, I mean, I learned C, I learned Fortran, assembler, 387, math coprocessor. Yeah, I've done a lot. C++. So yes, nerd, definitely. Thank you for that, Glober Mom and our Onion Cooper. Did I use Borland Turbo Pascal? I did. Turbo Pascal, yep. So I learned I both on the ready for this? On the VAX and on the desktop computers, Borland. Is it best to use something simple as 6502 or 6800 or Z80? So my first assembler was 6502, specifically 65C02, because it was an Apple IIc. Then I learned x86. Then I learned 68K. assembler, PowerPC. That was the last assembler I did. I haven't done it for years now. So what environment did you run Fortran on? VAX. It was a VAX. So Mr. E-Man, I'm triggering horrible memories. Steve 6464, why C plus and not A? What was C plus plus and not A? Because A, the programming language was, I don't know if it ever really took off. For those wondering, what am I talking about? There was a language called A language called B, and a language called C. C is the one that gained popularity. C++ then was an object-oriented version of C. So, oh yeah, logo. I learned logo. Okay. Slithery says it's turtles all the way down. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. Oh, it went the wrong way for what I was hoping. 170 votes. Ending the poll. Long live Lotus 123, Visicalc, and Agristar. I used Lotus 123. Did? There it is. Okay. Mark Beiser says, the closest I come to knowing a programming language is some very basic Perl. P-E-A-R-L? Ooh. And I've not used it in a couple of years. Well, number one, it's P-E-R-L, all uppercase. Number two, Perl is not a programming language. That's ridiculous. No programmer would ever use Perl. Ever. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? Brenda says there's science software that's still in Fortran. I'd probably, not that I've done any, all done. All done. I had done a thing that was done at work. Started earlier today. Siggy says, long live C. Thank you for that. Okay. I need to, the, I have to, hold on. Let me get to here. Go to here. Oh, no, wrong computer. Hold on. We need to get off of that computer. We need to shut this down. There it is. So, all right, hold on. So what I need to do is I need to prime the outro, which I should actually script it so it's not so hard to do. Jonathan Taylor says, my comp sci professor in school loved using Perl. No. You didn't even capitalize it. I've done some Perl. I hate it. It's a write once language. Leodis Chiron says, name your two oldest known programming languages. No basic. He or she says Fortran, COBOL, Fortran, and probably Pascal. Is Logo older than Pascal? I don't know. I actually got pretty good at programming in RPN. RPN being the language that you use on an HP 48 calculator. It's an actual full programming language. All right, I got off track here. I got to do this. There, that's okay. Lat. It's the wrong one. There it is. Oh, jeez. What does IT mean? Says non-existent. IT, information technology. Eric Burns says Python and C++ for me. There you go. Good. Oh yeah, assembler. Assembler. That's the original. That's totally the original. Daryl Frost, reverse Polish notation. Yeah. So RPL is the language for the programming language that runs on HP 48 calculators is called RPL, reverse Polish language. So there we go. And now I need to find, man, I got a new computer. I haven't set up my bash shell yet. Of course, it's not even bash. It's a different shell, people. Oh yeah. And I consider Bash is one of the, I've done so much in Bash. So much in Bash. I don't, is that good or bad? I don't know. But for work, I'm like, all right, if I have to start doing loops or if thens, it's time to move up to Python. And if I have to talk to the database, it's time to move up to Java. So, all right, there it is. I'm ready. Shasum outro. Okay. Siggy Sigwald says hardcore Linux sysadmins use Bash one-liners. Oh my gosh, a one-liner in Bash. Please no. They're terrible. They are terrible. Okay. Now I'm actually ready. So, what is it you use mostly, says Real Cygnus. I mostly use Java. So I've spent more time doing Java than anything else. And I don't do UIs in Java. Yuck. Gross. Who would do a UI in Java? Well, it's all server-side stuff. You know, listening on a socket to accept a connection, process the SMTP, the RFC 5321 implementation, accept the message, analyze it, do whatever, tear it apart, unzip every single attachment, decompress every single compressed archive, analyze every single file that we find in them, tear them all apart. So yeah, so when I'm like, well, we found some neat obfuscation. Sometimes it's deep in a zip file inside of a ARC file, inside of a .z compressed inside of a tar. And then, oh, look, there's an HTML. Let me look at that. Sometimes there's a zip file. I love this. There's a zip file. And you know what the scammers, if you've got these emails, you've seen them, they'll send the actual password inside the email. They're like, here's the zip file. Your password is blah. So we take every single word inside of the email, if we find a compressed archive that's encrypted, and we try to decrypt it using every single word in the message. And guess what? Crack them open. So, all right. Eric Burns, my thesis has a code that creates and writes over 1 million lines in Python. You can imagine how long that takes to run. So your code writes Python. Writes 1 million lines of Python? There must be a better way to do it. Oh my gosh. Siggy says, no need to thank me for derailing the conversation. Okay, yeah, that was definitely derailed. All right, let me, before I go, Tuesday, I have two things. I got Sam and we got the Flerf cosplay. If you just go to my website, you can search for cosplay, you'll find it. That's next week, 6:00 p.m. Central Time to whenever we're done. People are going to come on and we're going to dress up. You're going to dress up as Flerfs. It's going to be great. It's going to be so much fun. I'm looking forward to it. Industrial Nerd is managing it. He's been doing a great job. So if you have anything, send a message to him if you want to like kind of call dibs on somebody. So Non-existent says, I honestly appreciate how much I learned watching this channel. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. Does my rambling, I don't know. Is it interesting when I tell you about how I analyze emails? Oh dear, hold on. Sean Thomas says, without looking it up, untar a G-zipped archive. tar-xf would be if it's a non-zipped, but you just do xfz will extract it and then the name of the file. How's that? My fingers know it. I type it so much. I do prefer, though, to do it in 2 steps. I tend to untar, then do the unzip. It's from getting burned a few times. So, do I use Lex or Yak to parse emails? No, we wrote all sorts of stuff to tear apart the emails. The RFC 5322 email, we Google RFC 5322, and the other ways, the MIME messages, we tear them all apart ourselves. A lot of it written ourselves. Sometimes we use some third-party libraries because the bad guys do all sorts of nasty things, right? So if you look at an email, geez, I'm off track again. I hope this is interesting. The bad guys will take an email and they will intentionally construct it wrong so that some analyzers will not analyze it correctly because it's constructed incorrectly, but still the email client will. So the email client is forgiving. They want to be able to display even poorly constructed emails. So Microsoft Outlook will display a garbage constructed email. But if you use a parser that parses the email as the RFC says it should, you might not get the attachment out of it that Outlook will. So you have to really be good at finding these things and bending the rule. You have to bend the rules because they're bending the rules to extract these things. So we use a bunch of different things. We use different libraries to actually try to do things. So like we're like, well, ours missed this particular one. Well, let's pass it through something else. So there's a Java library called James that we use sometimes. There's another library from the Apache Foundation that opens up. James is from Apache too, but that opens up files. I forgot what it's called. Why did I forget what it's called? We use it all the time. Anyway, and so we do a whole bunch of things to try really hard to extract stuff. And then if we can't extract it, that's a problem. Like it looks like there's a file here. We can't get the file out. Let's flag it. And then, probably that's something naughty happening. So there's different things where there's different ways to encode the file name of a file inside an email. And if they don't match, if the extensions don't match, like it might have a zip ending on it, or a txt ending on it, or an exe. They don't work anymore generally in the clients, but they used to, where it would claim to be a txt to the user, but it's actually an exe when it drops it in the file system. So they're like, oh, that's just a txt. They'll just go run it, but it's an exe. It'll run, it'll install the malware on their computer. So lots of different ways that we've over time had to deal with the bad guys. All right. The Sun Express is tar-zxvf question mark exclamation point 7zx file name dot whatever. It is the future. What's the V? Is it verbose? Yeah, ZXF. That's all you need. Yes. Eric Burns says, my code that creates over 1 million lines of code is 447 lines. Interpolation sucks sometimes. My goodness. I do like code that outputs code. I gotta say, when I first started writing websites in not just HTML, I loved it because, yes, it was outputting HTML, but HTML is not really a language. It's not Turing complete. So then when it was outputting JavaScript, that's when I found that was so cool. So yeah, having code, typically in PHP that I've done, output JavaScript code, I love it. I just love that. All right. Anyway. Slithery, do you use your emailer's email for personal? I'm a massive fan of Proton Mail for my custom domains. Yeah, Proton Mail is fantastic. I like Proton Mail, and dealing with Proton Mail is good, right? There's different places I don't like to deal with. The majority of our spam and malware comes from two places, Google and Microsoft. And you can't blacklist them, right? So, all right. Sleet says some exploits rely on the exception handling of various targeted systems to gain privileges, as Toon undoubtedly knows. Yes. Oh yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, we don't yeah, yeah, so we're in a sandbox in Java, that helps. It's running on a VM, that helps. And layers and layers of exception handling, absolutely. So when we use a third-party library, you can't trust anything from them. Nothing. I mean, you can't trust anything from our own stuff. Yeah, everything has to be very carefully put into a borders and boundaries and walls and everything. So anyway, Eric Burns, you need to come on for another podcast. Seriously. Let's set it up. I'm going to say thank you very much for joining me on this Thursday night. I said next Tuesday. I've already said what we have. Oh, tomorrow I have a it's ready to go. Tomorrow 9 a.m. Central Time is an analysis of, well, a flat earther that proved the globe again, but thought that he did otherwise. So anyway, people, thank you very much, and I will see you next time.